Chapter 1140. Below them was a circular field where some strange flowers and plants were planted. When the explosion sounded, the flowers and plants emitted a bright light. They were not affected by the explosion, but after the explosion stopped, all the flowers and plants withered and turned into ashes. In the middle of these flowers and plants, there was a huge round ice egg. At this time, one side of the ice egg had been blown open, revealing a narrow space inside. Shang leaned on the iron sword and looked at the egg below. Which idiot stuffed I into the egg? And it's so small. This is so King degrading my style. So angry. Shang looked around again. This is a bit like a spell formation. No, I have to accept the plot first. The settings of every plane were different. Although they were all built on the same big setting, the same spell formation in every plane could be used differently. She had made such a big noise just now. If this was set up by someone, they would definitely have sensed it. I can't stay here. Shang flew in a circle with her sword but didn't find any exit. There wasn't any spirit energy, but she was very sure that this world definitely had spirit energy. So, this is King independent space? Then how am I going to get out? I'll die if I do it again, okay? I can't accept dying before I even start. Waiting for the sack for so long, where the hell am I? But face, won't you come out and help me with the navigation? This service is not provided. The system rejected Shang mercilessly. Based on the 2 words but face, no, 3 words, it would not give her any clues. Trash. Calm down, don't argue with the idiot host. It's a system with quality. Host, you're amazing. You can go out yourself. Shang. Bullying I for not knowing the situation now. Bullying you because you can't use spiritual chi now. The system added. It wanted to see how the host would get out this time. It was definitely not gloating. It just wanted to see how many trump cards the host had. Yes, that's right. It was an upright system. Shang tried. Sure enough, there was no spiritual chi left in her body. Her body's hot and cold situation didn't improve. If this went on, her avatar would die, wouldn't it? It definitely would. But face, I want to buy some props. I'm sorry host, there are no tools available. Bullshit, give me that 3D spatial gate. Host, you don't have the authority to exchange for this. The system continued to gloat. Shang was speechless. He was so angry that he wanted to hit someone. It is better to rely on oneself than on others. I will do it myself. Shang took a deep breath, rummaged through the space, and took out a golden funnel-like object. The system subconsciously scanned her, and when it saw the feedback, the system just wanted to slap her to death. Host, this is a divine artifact. Of course. How could it blow up this place if it wasn't a divine weapon? Shang rolled his eyes. Where did you come from? She had collected a lot of things from those planes, but many things would disappear in another plane. The things that she could take out were all hers. Previously, it had thought that she would run out of things as she took them out. After all, some things were limited in storage. But now, she had taken out a goddamn artifact. The system was suddenly horrified. How many things were there in its host space? What did she do in the past? Even grave robbers weren't this awesome. And in that era, these things didn't even exist. The scariest thing was that she could use those things without any hindrance in her soul state. Master, are you sure this is really a person? Isn't she some strange creature? Shang said concisely, I picked it up. Hee, pick up another one for the system to see. Wait host, what did you just say? You want to blow up this place? How else am I going to get out? Will it let I out if I shout, open sesame? There was no funny plot like, ding, password correct. Nothing happened in the space. Host, wait. That's a divine artifact. If you blow up this place, this space will be destroyed. What does that have to do with me? Shang rolled his eyes. She couldn't even protect herself. Who would have the mood to care about whether the space collapsed or not? If the system spoiled it, the host would definitely blow up even more. Forget it. The host would definitely blow up in the end anyway. It was better to just go offline and pretend that it didn't see anything. He didn't see anything. Nothing. Nothing. Shi Shang endured the pain in his body and filled the funnel with energy balls. Then, he sealed it with talisman paper. He asked the iron sword to bring him to the highest point. I's unlucky if I die. But how can someone as awesome as me die here? Shi Shang muttered. He closed his eyes and threw the thing in his hand down. The divine artifact wrapped in talisman paper fell down. The space seemed to be frozen for a moment. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. Countless electric currents flowed and created sparks in the air. The sparks formed a line and hit the talisman paper on the ground. The sparks hit the talisman paper. The talisman paper burst into flames with a boom. The flames resonated with the electric currents in the air. The divine artifact smashed onto the ground. The energy ball exploded. Shi Shang's ears rumbled. Countless air pressure pressed in from all directions. The electric currents released from the energy ball filled the entire space. Crack, 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 crack. There was the sound of something breaking. Cracks began to appear in the space. Countless dazzling lights poured in from the cracks. At the same time, spiritual energy poured in. Pure and majestic spiritual energy. Shi Shang found a weak spot and controlled the iron sword to rush over. The airflow behind him was extremely fast. There seemed to be electric sparks in the air. His body felt very uncomfortable in this situation. It felt like he was being torn apart by 5 horses. Shi Shang gritted his teeth and sped up. After a moment of silence, all kinds of noises sounded between heaven and earth. Before Shi Shang could see what was going on, he bumped into a cold hard object. A majestic force entered his body. He lost his balance and rolled down the iron sword. The wind blew past his ears. Shi Shang recognized the noises from the noises. They were the sounds of fighting. Shi Shang. What the hell was going on? Had he escaped the tiger's den and entered the wolf's den? Shi Shang flipped himself over in the air. He saw clearly that he was pretending to be a human. His body was surrounded by a black aura. He looked like a freaking demon. The iron sword was in his chest. His hand was still in the posture of a palm strike. Needless to say, when she came out, she must have bumped into him. Pfft! Where the hell did this baby come from? He sent his head the moment he came out. So angry. Asterisk la la la. I'm a little fairy who writes stories. I'm not afraid of the wind and rain. I don't have weekends. I don't have holidays. Don't you feel bad for me? You're always urging me to update. Little fairy, I refuse to urge you to update. Chapter 1141. When the iron sword realized that its master was falling, it quickly pulled itself out of the man's chest and swooped down to catch Shi Shang, who was about to fall to the ground, and brought him back into the air. The clamor from before suddenly quieted down, as if all the sounds between heaven and earth had disappeared at this moment. Shi Shang's chest hurt. That man had hit her just now, but she didn't know what he had hit her with. Now she felt that there were 3 kinds of forces in her body, conflicting with each other, fighting, and invading each other's territory. She was going to die, she was going to die. Shi Shang sat up on the iron sword. He couldn't lose his cool. 2 people were standing in the air. One was the black figure she had stabbed, and the other was a handsome man in white. He was holding a golden sword in his hand. Shi Shang was dumbfounded. Damn, the Shenyuan sword. Oh my god, we're done for. Sword, we've encountered a genuine one. What should we do? Iron sword. How did it know what to do? Its real name was the Shenyuan sword, but it was a fake. It wasn't the genuine Shenyuan sword. It still remembered that when it had this name, its master had been watching a period drama, and the Shenyuan sword happened to be in the drama. So, it had a flashy name, the Shenyuan sword. Although its master had only mentioned its name once in such a long time, it was tired. Sword, will he crack down on piracy? Can you get rid of the Shenyuan sword? Let's get to the top together. Iron sword. Master, you should be thinking about how to escape, not how to get rid of the Shenyuan sword and replace it. It's an authentic divine weapon. Do you think it's a piece of scrap metal that can be broken just by hacking? At least it has the title of a divine weapon. You should at least hack it seriously. Shi Shang. I really didn't expect that I had such a boastful sword. Iron sword. I learned it from my master. Shi Shang. She was just boasting with real strength, okay? You can't even beat it and you're already bragging. Aren't you afraid of getting slapped in the face? The iron sword was speechless. I believe Master can do it. Shi Shang. Even if you worship me so blindly, I can still give it a try. At such a critical moment, you guys can still discuss how to get rid of the other party's divine weapon. This system is also very convinced. Shi Shang didn't respond to the system's complaint because she was looking at the Shen Yuan sword. The two men also happened to be looking at the Shi Shang. The man in white looked a little surprised, as if he couldn't understand what was going on with this little girl who had suddenly appeared. The smoke around the black-clothed man's body surged very quickly, making it impossible to see the expression on his face. But Shi Shang could feel that the gaze he was looking at her with was very unfriendly and cold. Shi Shang was shocked. What the hell did he mean by determined to win? Who was this person? I don't know him. How about letting me log off and pick up a plot? Obviously, these two people would not agree. The man in black moved first, quickly rushing toward Shi Shang. The man in white followed, trying to stop the man in black. However, the man in black was originally closer than the man in white. In the blink of an eye, he was already in front of Shi Shang. A strange light beam shot out of his hand and went straight for Shi Shang's chest. Unamo! The man in white cried out. Shi Shang. A love triangle? Did I wear the female lead's avatar this time? My host's brain seems to have been damaged. Why aren't you running? Why are you running? I am not the kind of person who would run away at the last minute. Flip's table, I have to be able to run first. Countless black chains appeared below her, crisscrossing to form a lock array, trapping her inside. When the man in black attacked in front of her, Shi Shang rolled off the iron sword to avoid the light beam. The iron sword appeared in her hand in an instant, and she swung it at the lock array below. Crack! The black chains were swung away by the iron sword, and Shi Shang fell through the gap in the middle. She raised her head to look at the two people above her. Obviously, both of them were very surprised. The man in black reacted faster and rushed toward her. Shi Shang was very uncomfortable now. Not only was her body hot and cold, but she also felt a strange pain spreading from her meridians. Yunmo, don't you dare! The man in white shouted as the man in black's hand fell. Shi Shang was in despair. What kind of evil thing did this body do? So angry. Shi Shang sped up her fall, increasing the distance between her and the man in black. She turned the iron sword in her hand. The iron sword cut her finger, and blood flowed out, smearing on the iron sword. Her movements were very fast, and she completed this action in almost a second. The blood sank into the iron sword, and a red light flashed across the iron sword. With the tip of the sword as the center, spiritual energy suddenly rushed in from all directions, forming countless spiritual energy vortexes. Each vortex was the size of a basketball, and wind blades were ejected from the vortexes, flying straight up. The wind blades cut through the air, and a sharp whistling sound resounded throughout the world. No one knew how these vortexes appeared, but people standing in the distance could feel the pressure emitted from the vortexes. The kind of pressure that could destroy heaven and earth made people feel awe and fear. And the two people who were in close contact with those wind blades were even more horrified. The Shenyuan sword in the man in white's hand began to vibrate constantly, making a dull buzzing sound. The man in white had never seen the Shenyuan sword like this. He looked at the figure below in shock. The delicate figure seemed to be blown out of the vortexes, holding up the air. She was wearing a fiery red dress, and there were burn marks on the hem of her dress. The dress was of different lengths, and it was blown by the wind blades, making whistling sounds. She raised her small face, and a strange smile suddenly appeared on her face. Her slightly pale lips opened and closed, and her voice was very low. It was completely inconsistent with her current age, and her tone was strange, as if it came from an ancient chant. The sound of the wind spread the voice in all directions, and it seemed to come from all directions. The voice disappeared, and the petite figure waved the iron sword. The vortexes floating around her suddenly moved into the air, and the spiritual energy between heaven and earth was still constantly replenishing the vortexes. The man in black and the man in white rushed in two directions at the same time. These things looked very dangerous at first glance. However, they were one step slower, and the vortexes surrounded them first. At that moment, the whole world was filled with rumbling sounds, and waves of spiritual energy that could be seen with the naked eye began to spread from the place of the explosion, cleansing the surroundings layer by layer. Asterisk, this is a fake group. System. Master, look at the host, she is about to break through the universe. System Master, the universe is not enough for her to play with, calm down. System. You are not the one being enslaved, so of course you would say that. Master, when are you coming back to deal with her? System Master, what did you say? The signal is not good, the word is cracked. What? 3 missing 1? Okay, I will be right there. System. Chapter 1142. This was a Xianxia world. The host was called Qi Li. She was the only phoenix in this world. Oh no, it was a phoenix egg. The male lead wasn't the white-robed man, but the black-robed man, Yun Mo. At first, Qi Li was in Yun Mo's hands. Yun Mo wanted to forcibly remove her soul and place the female lead's soul inside to be reborn as a phoenix. That's right, she came here very early. So early that the female lead hadn't even appeared. The entire god realm knew that she had a phoenix egg, but it hadn't hatched for 10,000 years. No one could feel any aura from it. All the deities thought that the last phoenix egg in this world would never hatch and that the phoenix race would go extinct. In order to commemorate the phoenix race, this egg was enshrined as a mascot. In the plot, Qi Li's soul was removed and she was tortured to death. She didn't even get to see this world. The female lead was reborn as a phoenix. After slaying demons and devils, she returned to her position as a god. The space she came out of was an array set up by the male lead. In the plot, the male lead successfully sent the female lead into the phoenix egg during this battle. The female lead hatched as a phoenix and officially opened the curtains of the plot. Scared me to death. If I came out a little later, I would have really died. The original owner hated the person who robbed her of her soul, that is, the male lead. She hated the person who took over her body, that is, the female lead. So, the host's last wish was to kill these two shameless bitches. Very good, this is very encouraging. Leave it to me to break up the ship. Wait a minute, why was she receiving the plot? Wasn't she fighting just now? Shang wanted to open her eyes, but after trying for a long time, all she could see was darkness. She was conscious, but she couldn't open her eyes. What's going on? What's wrong with Ai's body? Shang tried hard to recall the scene from before. She seemed to have been sent flying by the shockwave, and then there was no then. Fuck. She couldn't have died, right? She couldn't move at all and couldn't open her eyes. Shang struggled for a long time, but she still couldn't open her eyes. After a long time, Shang heard a voice. It was a girl's voice. It was very pleasant to hear, and she didn't sound very old. Hey, be careful. The immortal monarch treasures this egg. You'll be in trouble if you break it. Where did immortal monarch pick it up? What kind of egg is this? It looks strange. Why is it glowing? What do you mean by picked it up? The last time the immortal monarch came back, it fell from the sky and struck him. I wonder who was the one who threw it. Isn't there a barrier in our palace? How did this egg fall in here? Don't you know that the incident last time was so serious? The entire desolate sea was destroyed. Our palace's barrier was also affected. Many things fell in. This egg fell in at that time. The immortal master has been throwing tantrums for a few days now. Don't touch him. Just a touch. No. Egg? F*CK. I won't become an egg again, will I? Could the hatchlings really be stuffed back in? This world was a little unscientific. Why am I an egg? Although the last phoenix in this world looked pretty awesome, it was still a F*King beast. But Face must have done it on purpose. Shang couldn't speak. He could only listen to the conversation between the two voices. They would come every once in a while. From their conversation, Shang knew that the little girl who liked to ask questions was called Zhu, and the little girl who often answered questions was called Niandong. They were the immortals of this palace. Shang still didn't know what this palace was called. Every time they talked, they used the word palace instead. They talked about all kinds of things, such as which immortal monarch was fighting, which immortal monarch was interested in, and so on. Even immortals were gossipy. Shang couldn't get out. She had tried many ways, but all proved that her body was in a deep sleep and couldn't be awakened. She was bored and could only absorb spiritual qi. Since she couldn't get out, she would cultivate hard and then go out to act tough and break up the couple. She wondered how the female lead would be reborn without her, the spare tire. She was looking forward to it. The time spent cultivating was like flowing water. One day, when Shang finished cultivating, he suddenly heard Zhu shouting, Niandong, Niandong, the enchantment on this girl has disappeared. There were no footsteps, but Niandong's voice soon sounded in his ears. The immortal monarch said that when the enchantment on her body disappears, we should take her to the immortal lotus pool. Go and tell the immortal monarch. I'll take her there first. Okay. Zhu responded. She must have run there, because the sound of footsteps gradually disappeared. Shang found it strange that there was a girl next to her. In the blink of an eye, she felt as if she was floating. Shang. Wait a minute. Am I not an egg? But Face, I need to talk to you about life. If you want to act tough, you must first sharpen your weapon. The system said in a profound manner. Shang. What's wrong with this body? She heard the sound of the wind, and spiritual qi kept rushing into her body. After a while, the sound of the wind died down. She felt as if she was put on ice. Niandong floated out and came back in after a while. At the same time, Zhu came in. Did the immortal monarch really say that? Yes, that's what the immortal monarch said. Zhu nodded. Then she asked Niandong worriedly, will she die if we just throw her down like this? If the immortal monarch said so, it should be fine. Niandong obviously worshipped the immortal monarch blindly. Shang. What do you want to do to I? Where's I's sword? Before Shang could summon her sword, she was thrown down. The viscous liquid immediately wrapped around her. She kept sinking, and the majestic spiritual qi kept seeping into her body. There was too much of it, and she felt a little uncomfortable. The combination of ice and fire that she felt when she first came over came again. Shang opened her eyes abruptly. She was now in a milky white liquid. The liquid wrapped around her body, and spiritual qi kept going in and out of her body. This felt a little like washing. The liquid was filtering the impurities in her body. She could feel the power in her body getting purer and stronger. But at the same time, the combination of ice and fire was getting more and more intense. Whoosh! Flames suddenly shot out from her arms. The next second, her whole body was engulfed in flames. Heavens, why is there fire? Niandong's voice was a little hazy. She said in a low muffled voice, Go and call the immortal monarch. Zhu stumbled out and ran back quickly. The immortal monarch is not in the room. Niandong was shocked. What? Wasn't he here just now? Zhu stammered. No, the immortal monarch used voice transmission just now. Niandong. Chapter 1143. The entire immortal death pool was filled with flames. The temperature was frighteningly high. They were already immortals, but they could still feel the scorching heat. It was obvious how high the temperature was. It's over, it's over. Nian Dong, the immortal monarch's immortal lotus pond will be ruined. The immortal monarch will scold us to death. Si Zhu grabbed Nian Dong's clothes and looked at the burning immortal lotus pond, wanting to cry but having no tears. Nian Dong kept trying to contact her immortal monarch, but she couldn't reach him. The immortal death pool burned for 3 days and 3 nights. Nian Dong and Si Zhu waited outside for 3 days and 3 nights. Nian Dong, look. Si Zhu suddenly nudged Nian Dong, pointing in the direction of the flames. The flames were still burning fiercely. In the depths of the flames, a phoenix could be vaguely seen flying. Its cries pierced through the flames, piercing the clouds. Si Zhu was completely stunned. After a while she stammered, "Phoenix, phoenix." "Nian Dong, it's a phoenix. She's the phoenix that disappeared over the desolate sea." Nian Dong's mouth twitched. "Immortal monarch wants us to throw a phoenix into the immortal death pool? Is he crazy? Also, where did the immortal monarch pick up this phoenix?" The cries continued, growing louder and louder. Nian Dong raised her head to look at the sky. Following the phoenix's cry, the barrier above them began to crack. Immortal monarch seemed to have found something incredible this time. Nian Dong took a deep breath and slapped Si Zhu. "Stop spacing out. Hold the barrier." Oh. Si Zhu nodded. She and Nian Dong flew in different directions. The cracks in the barrier were mended when the two of them channeled their spiritual energy into it. When Lu Yun returned to his palace, he felt that something was wrong. He stood outside his own palace and looked up for a long time. It took him a while to react. Why was his palace name missing? Why was there a crack on the pillar? Had an enemy come to find him? "Nian Dong, Si Zhu." Lu Yun called out as he walked to the door. Si Zhu ran out, her face covered in dirt. She cried before she could speak. "Immortal monarch, you're finally back." Sob, sob, sob. "If you hadn't come back, this place would have changed owners." Lu Yun carried Si Zhu inside like a chick. "What are you talking about? Is your brain damaged again? Let Nian Dong take a look at you. You're already quite silly. What's going to happen if you continue to be silly?" Si Zhu choked with sobs. "Immortal monarch, the phoenix you picked up, has taken over our palace." "Oh." Lu Yun responded. After taking 3 steps, he suddenly stopped. A strange look of confusion appeared on his handsome face. "What phoenix? When did I pick up a phoenix? Isn't that thing extinct?" "Immortal monarch, don't scare me. Even if the little girl in red you brought back is the phoenix in the desolate sea, if you didn't pick it up, then where did it come from?" "Oh, her." Lu Yun came to a realization. "I actually picked up a phoenix." Si Zhu was speechless. Being an immortal was nothing to be proud of, all right? Now, the entire deity world was looking for the phoenix that destroyed the desolate sea. Most importantly, this phoenix has taken over your palace. When Lu Yun first saw Shi Shang, it was in his main hall. The little girl was wearing a long black dress. The dress was embroidered with a flame-like phoenix spreading its wings. It looked very lifelike. She was clearly still a child, but the dress made her look like a sovereign descending to the world. The little girl propped her chin up and looked at the smoke outside. Her gaze was a little empty. She wasn't looking at anything. "You look better in red." Flowing Cloud entered the hall and took the initiative to gain the upper hand. The little girl slowly turned her head. When their eyes met, Lu Yun suddenly gasped. There was actually a red halo in her pupils. Shi Shang put down his hand and took the iron sword from the table. He knocked on the table hard and asked like a bandit, "Who are you?" Lu Yun was speechless. "This is my palace. Who do you think I am?" "Yours." Shi Shang narrowed his eyes and suddenly stood up. He smiled eerily. I've been waiting for you. Waiting for me? Why does this little girl look so eerie? Shi Shang walked towards Lu Yun with the iron sword. Did you ask someone to throw me into that weird pool? Yes. I think so. Lu Yun's answer was very uncertain. He scratched his head and looked confused. I'm very busy. I don't really remember. Shi Shang, I was tortured half to death, and you actually said you don't remember? Not bad. You're very strong. I'll beat you to death. Side mission. Be perfect. Quest objective. Help Lu Yun find his lost soul and spirit. The system's announcement didn't stop Shi Shang from beating Lu Yun. Probably because the side quest mode had been activated, the possibility of Shi Shang killing Lu Yun was reduced to 0 with the help of the system. But face, I've never seen you so protective of me. What kind of system did she meet? Hee, the system has never seen a host as evil as you. What kind of host did it meet? After complaining, the system still had to explain. When the side quest is activated, when the quest target is a human, the quest target will be automatically bound to the quest target. The system changed to an easy-to-understand analogy. It's like he's your teammate now. I don't want such a stupid teammate. Little Phoenix, have you hit me enough? Lu Yun lay on the ground, not caring about the iron sword at all. Instead, he looked at her with interest. You're indeed from the Phoenix clan. You're so powerful even though you're just born. Shi Shang tried to stab the iron sword into Lu Yun's chest again. It couldn't be called an assistant anymore. He couldn't move it at all. Teammate mode is so annoying. Shi Shang put away the sword. If I can't kill him, can't I beat him up? Lu Yun was beaten up quite a bit. The little girl had just reached his chest, but she was ruthless and picked the most painful part. Little Phoenix, how can you be so ungrateful? Have you forgotten who? Ouch, who picked you up? If it weren't for me. Little Phoenix, don't be so ruthless. It hurts. If it weren't for me, you would have been tied up on the immortal punishment platform by now. Do you really think I can't beat you if I don't fight back? I'm just afraid that I'll kill the only Phoenix in the world. Lu Yun shouted fiercely, but he didn't fight back in the end. Shi Shang vented his anger from being thrown into that lousy pool and let Lu Yun go. Shi Shang looked at Lu Yun condescendingly. What do you mean by you picked me up? Don't think I don't know that I fell in by myself. Lu Yun sat up with his hands on his waist and retorted, Yes, you fell in by yourself, but if it weren't for me, you would still be hanging on that meridian tree outside. Little Phoenix, as a beast, you can't be ungrateful, understand? You're still young, so I'll forgive you this time. Shi Shang. What should I do if I want to beat him up again? #hashtag today, I'm begging for Phoenix flower votes. #hashtag don't ask me what Phoenix flower is. I don't know either. #hashtag begging for votes #. Chapter 1144. Lu Yun was a weirdo in the immortal realm. He had a bad reputation in the immortal realm. His title was not high, but his status was high. His strength was unknown. Also, he was the only immortal who lived in the Desolate Sea. The Desolate Sea was the place where Shi Shang came from. It was not a sea, but a barren land. There was nothing in the Desolate Sea. There were no demons, no plants, no life. This place had always been a good place for a fight. But now, the Desolate Sea was destroyed. More than half of the Desolate Sea had disappeared. The place where it disappeared became a void. No one knew where this void connected to. The culprit, Shi Shang, expressed, her ultimate move was not powerful enough. How could it be worthy of her? Why are those idiots in the immortal realm looking for me? Lu Yun was still sitting on the ground, looking at his wounds. Little Phoenix, you have to be polite when you ask questions, okay? Shi Shang waved his iron sword. Lu Yun choked. You are the last Phoenix in the world. Of course, they want to raise you as a mascot. I destroyed the Desolate Sea. Won't they find trouble with me? A mascot? They are crazy. There is nothing in the desolate sea. Why would they find trouble with you? Then what did you say about the immortal execution platform? Lu Yun. He coughed awkwardly and stood up. I was just teasing you. Haha. Teasing my ass. Lu Yun moved closer to Shi Shang and asked curiously, Little Phoenix, have you gone through Nirvana? What Nirvana? Shi Shang glared at him. Stand away. I am afraid of killing you. Lu Yun was unmoved. Little Phoenix, don't be so fierce. You are a female. You have to be gentle, okay? Otherwise, no beast will want to mate with you in the future. Female, mate. Shi Shang was shocked by these words. He could not accept the fact that he had become a beast. You were just born. It is normal that you don't know. Phoenixes go through Nirvana and are reborn from fire. Different phoenixes go through Nirvana at different times. Your race. I heard that it's the Golden Phoenix clan with the purest bloodline. The purer the bloodline, the longer the interval between Nirvana. You should go through Nirvana once every 1,000 years. You went through Nirvana as soon as you were born. Little Phoenix, something is wrong with you. Shi Shang recalled what he had experienced in the pool. Was that the Nirvana of the Phoenix? How do you know that I have achieved Nirvana? Lu Yun immediately smiled proudly. I once saw a phoenix that had just undergone Nirvana. Its pupils were exactly the same as yours. Shi Shang touched his eyes and used the iron sword as a mirror. There was a circle of red light around his pupils, which looked very strange. It was reasonable to say that a newborn phoenix would not have such a situation at all. Even if a phoenix died when it was born, it would need to wait until a specific time of Nirvana before it could be reborn. Lu Yun seemed to like her very much. He told Shi Shang all kinds of stories about the heavenly realm. The general outline was similar to what she knew. The only difference was some details. Shi Shang knew that the man on the desolate sea was called Jiangling. He was the god of war in the heavenly realm and had the divine weapon Shenyuan sword. The male lead, Yun Mo, was the only exalted god in the heavenly realm. However, he fell into depravity and became a demon because of the female lead. The female lead's background was a little big. She was a green lotus that was born at the beginning of the world. When she met the male lead, it was a demon who wanted to borrow the female lead's power to destroy her body. At that time, the female lead had not yet transformed. She was a green lotus. After she was rescued by the male lead, he raised her until the female lead transformed. The female lead fell in love with the male lead, but only then did the female lead realize that the male lead treated her like that because he wanted her to use the most primitive power of heaven and earth to save another woman. Shi Shang could only use one word to describe this setting: King retard. He used the female lead to save someone else, and then used someone else to save the female lead. Who was the unlucky one? It was the last cannon fodder. Lu Yun was still snorting. What exalted god! The brains of those deities were eaten by Little White. Shi Shang interrupted. There are still exalted gods in this world? What the hell was Little White? Of course. Lu Yun suddenly paused. Little Phoenix, there's something wrong with your body. I have to take you to see someone. You're the mascot of the heavenly realm. Nothing can happen to you. Mascot Shang. Shi Shang couldn't be bothered with Lu Yun. He got up and walked out. Lu Yun hurried to catch up. Little Phoenix, did you hear me? No. Who knows if you're going to send me to be experimented on? I'm scared. Lu Yun was a little angry. Little Phoenix, I'm doing this for your own good. Don't be ungrateful. Shi Shang took a few steps out of the door. Nian Dong and Si Zhu stood at the side, trembling. These two girls must have been scared out of their wits these past few days. It was their fault for throwing him into that stupid pool. Shi Shang glanced at them. Then, he got rid of Lu Yun and transformed into a golden phoenix. He flew into the sky. Shi Shang. She didn't want to transform. But as soon as she flew, she became like this. Really, she really wanted to kill someone. Shi Shang shook his wings uncomfortably. He almost fell from the sky. There were people watching. It would be so embarrassing if he fell. So, to show off, Shi Shang could only flap his wings. Lu Yun looked up at the phoenix in the sky and suddenly turned his head. Nian Dong, Si Zhu, did you see her tail feathers? I saw them. Si Zhu nodded weakly. Immortal Master, the tail feathers of golden phoenixes should be golden. Why is she like this? Nian Dong was calmer. Lu Yun rubbed his chin. I'm curious too. Nian Dong, since you don't know, why are you acting like you've already seen through the secrets of heaven, Immortal Master? As soon as he left the barrier, Shi Shang saw a void. It looked like a black hole. She flew through the black hole and landed on the edge of the crack. As soon as she landed, she transformed into her human form. She still looked like a child. Shi Shang looked down at her little paws with melancholy. How was she going to live in the future? Just as she was looking at her paws, a light flashed in front of her. A figure landed in front of her. Shi Shang looked up. It was the man in white she saw the other day. God of War, Zhong Ling. The look in his eyes was a little incredulous, but also a little complicated after the joy. Zhong Ling reached out his hand to Shi Shang. Little guy, I'm here to take you home. Shi Shang. What home? Wasn't she the last phoenix? Where did her home come from? Shi Shang was about to go to the realm of the gods to show off and wait for the female lead to come online. So, after thinking for a while, she nodded her noble head. Zhong Ling's hand stopped awkwardly in mid-air. After Shi Shang nodded, he retracted his hand unnaturally. He waved his hand and a cloud suddenly appeared in front of them. The cloud was very big. Shi Shang sat in the corner and warned Zhong Ling not to come near her with her eyes. Zhong Ling stood on the other side, but he kept looking at Shi Shang. Shi Shang was calm and collected. She didn't feel curious or nervous at all. She just calmly looked at the clouds passing by. She could feel that the further she went, the more spiritual energy there was. He recited Ling Jiang. She was begging for votes every day. Chapter 1145. Shi Ling brought Shi Shang to the 33rd heaven, where the immortal emperor lived. The immortal emperor looked at Shi Shang with a complicated expression. After a long silence he asked, Little one, do you have a name? Qi Li. The little girl was dressed in a black dress. A girl shouldn't look good in such a color, but she looked very good in it. It made her skin look as white as jade. She didn't seem small in the grand hall at all. Instead, she attracted everyone's attention. Her reaction was calm and indifferent, as if she didn't care about this at all. To the immortal emperor, this was just a newborn baby. If she had this kind of aura, she would grow up to be a big deal. Qi Li. The immortal emperor gathered his thoughts and nodded. That's a good name. You'll be called Qi Li from now on. South Wu Mountain should have a master now. South Wu Mountain was once the residence of the Phoenix clan. Although it was just a mountain, it was actually very big. It was so big that one couldn't imagine it. Immortal Emperor, South Wu Mountain. Zhong Ling, I'll leave this matter to you. The immortal emperor interrupted Zhong Ling and gave him the task. Zhong Ling frowned but didn't refuse. The immortal emperor didn't make things difficult for Shi Shang. Shi Shang silently followed Zhong Ling and left. After leaving the grand hall, Zhong Ling asked Shi Shang gently, Little Li, can I call you that? Up to you. Little Li, South Wu Mountain hasn't been inhabited for many years. I need to send someone in to take a look. It'll take some time. Why don't you stay in my palace for the time being? Shi Shang glanced at Zhong Ling, as if he could see through his thoughts. Zhong Ling suddenly became nervous. Little Li. Shi Shang retracted his gaze and said indifferently, No need. I'll go by myself. Where's South Wu Mountain? Zhong Ling didn't dare to speak, probably because of the look in Shi Shang's eyes. He was a man of his word in the god realm, but now he was at a loss in front of a child. If word got out, wouldn't he be laughed at? But when he saw Shi Sheng's face, Jiang Ling couldn't say anything. He sighed, summoned another auspicious cloud, and brought Shi Sheng to South Wu Mountain. The first impression that South Wu Mountain gave off was that it was lifeless. South Parasol Mountain was filled with parasol trees, but these parasol trees were all dead. They had no leaves and no signs of life. In the middle, there was an especially large parasol tree. It could be said that it reached straight into the clouds, and the top could not be seen at all. Its branches were thick and solid, and it could be seen that when it was alive, it covered the sky and covered the sun. The branches of this parasol tree were dotted with palaces. From afar, they looked like giant fruits hanging from the branches. Jiang Ling happened to land below the parasol tree. He said slowly, "Ever since the last phoenix died, the entire South Parasol Mountain withered overnight. We tried many methods, but we couldn't revive these parasol trees." Shi Sheng looked up at the wutong tree whose top could not be seen. Phoenixes have the ability to be reborn. Why would they die? Jiang Ling imitated her and looked up at the parasol tree. His voice carried a hint of imperceptible sadness. "I don't know. One day, the phoenixes of the Phoenix clan lost their ability to be reborn. After they died, they could no longer be reborn." He glanced sideways. At the same time, the Dragon clan could no longer give birth to descendants. He once said that the will of the heavens could not be defied. This is probably the will of the heavens. The Dragon clan had the power to defy the heavens, and the Phoenix clan had the power to be immortal. The heavens and earth could no longer accommodate them. Phoenix descendants were hard to come by. A new phoenix might not be born in 1,000 years, but they could not die, so their numbers were stable. Qi Li was the last phoenix egg that had not hatched. Shi Sheng looked away. This F*King damn setting was too much. How could anyone live in this lousy place? Shi Sheng reached out to touch the tree trunk. When she touched the trunk, the lowest branch suddenly began to sprout. It grew rapidly and spread upward at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, a patch of green appeared in front of her. Jiang Ling looked at Shi Sheng in surprise. "Shi Sheng, I didn't do anything." Shi Sheng retracted her hand. The spreading green stopped as if someone had pressed the rewind button. The sprouts that had grown out shrank back. "Impressive, Wutong. You can even take back the sprouts that have grown out." "I see." Jiang Ling suddenly seemed to understand something. "Little Li, don't be afraid. Put your hand on it." "Shi Sheng, which eye of yours saw that I was afraid?" Shi Sheng put her hand on it again. New sprouts sprouted from the branches and the greenery continued to spread in all directions. The withered Wutong forest was now full of vitality. The newly grown Wutong trees swayed and made rustling sounds. It was a joyful sound. Jiang Ling's voice was a little scattered by the Wutong trees. After the last phoenix of South Wu Mountain died, these Wutong trees withered. They will only come back to life when you come back. Shi Sheng looked at the Wutong trees that were covered by the dense leaves and the corners of his mouth twitched. "I don't have to keep holding on to it like this, do I?" Jiang Ling had never experienced something like this. The Phoenix clan was the most ancient clan. For as long as he could remember, South Wu Mountain had been covered in Wutong trees. They had never withered before. "Don't move first. I'll go out and take a look." Jiang Ling disappeared in front of Shi Sheng. Just as he left, the Wutong tree above suddenly lowered a branch and gently wrapped around Shi Sheng's waist, pulling her up the Wutong tree. The branch made her feel very comfortable. It had no attack power, so Shi Sheng allowed it to pull her up. The branch sent Shi Sheng into a palace covered by leaves. Standing at the entrance of the palace, she could see the Wutong forest in the distance. It was lush and verdant, forming a sea of green. It was completely different from the withered forest from before. Shi Sheng looked around the palace. There was nothing special about it. The branch was still by her side. The two leaves opened up and gently pushed her forward, as if to let her walk forward. Shi Sheng was pushed forward. She went around a screen made of an unknown material and saw the throne inside. It was made of polished jade. The armrests were the wings of a phoenix. The phoenix's head was in the middle of the throne. The posture protected the person sitting on the throne. The branch pushed her onto the throne. The two leaves tilted honestly, as if it was very satisfied. It retreated to a lower position, rolled up one of the leaves, and covered it with the other. The branch below was bent, and it was in a kneeling position. Shi Shang. It was a sweet experience of being worshipped by a branch. Shi Shang got up and reached out to touch the branch. The branch immediately rubbed against her hand excitedly, like a cat that had its chin scratched. "Can you speak?" Shi Shang squatted down and looked at the branch at the same level. The branch opened up its two leaves and spread out its hands helplessly. It also seemed to be confused, not knowing what she was talking about. Shi Shang touched it again and asked the branch, "Is this where the Phoenix King used to live?" The branch probably understood this sentence. It straightened its leaves, bent its front, and nodded. Chapter 1146. Shi Shang stayed in the palace for a while. She didn't see anything strange, so she asked the branches to let her down. Below, Jiang Ling had already returned and was looking around anxiously when Shi Shang suddenly fell from above. Jiang Ling was startled. "Little Li, why are you up there?" He thought something had happened to her in such a short time. Shi Shang pushed away the branches that refused to let her go and looked at Jiang Ling. "You can go back now." "Little Li, Shi Shang's gaze was too cold, causing Ling to swallow the words he wanted to say. "Then be careful." Jiang Ling left, looking back every few steps. Shi Shang decided to walk around South Wu Mountain first. After all, this place was going to be her nest in the future. She had to deal with the security issues first. If she wanted to cause trouble, she had to deal with her own safety first. Every time Shi Shang wanted to fly, she would transform into her original form. After several tries, she finally figured out why she couldn't transform back into her original form. South Wu Mountain was ridiculously huge. Shi Shang started walking around the edges. The sycamore trees would rustle when she walked past them. Shi Shang would shake even harder when she touched them, like a child who had been rewarded. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Shi Shang's hands paused in the middle of fiddling with the plants. She turned her head to look behind her. There were a few sycamore trees behind her. When she looked over, the branches and leaves rustled. "Don't move," Shi Shang scolded. The sycamore trees immediately stopped shaking. Shi Shang walked around them, pushed aside the shrubs that were taller than her, and looked in the opposite direction. There was a strange animal there. It was completely black and round. It was half the height of a person and was very big. It was eating something and making strange chewing sounds. It was blocking the other side, so Shi Shang couldn't see what it was eating. "It's here. Found it. Don't let it run away." 3 youths in uniforms appeared in front of the black ball. The sound of the ball chewing became louder. One of the youths exclaimed, "Ah! It ate the immortal master's mount." "What's that? I've never seen it before." "I've never seen it before either. Since it dares to eat the mount of the immortal monarch, it must be a demonic beast. Let's capture it first and hand it over to the immortal monarch." The other 2 youths felt that what he said made sense, and the 3 of them immediately began to act. However, Big Meatball was round and rolled around on the ground. The 3 youths' attacks couldn't hurt it at all. In the end, they were sent flying by Big Meatball. One of the teenagers happened to fall into the bushes in front of the Shi Shang. He was lying on his front and could see the Shi Shang. The young man scrambled out of the bush. "Who are you? Why are you sneaking around? Come out." As soon as the young man's voice fell, Big Meatball rolled over from the side and swallowed the young man in one gulp. Shi Shang could clearly see that the Big Meatball had a huge mouth, and it was pitch black inside. What was that? Shi Shang said he had never seen him before. However, a word suddenly popped up in her mind. Tao Tai. Ancient ferocious beast. Shi Shang. Which family's Tao Tai looked like this? This setting was toxic. No, what kind of luck did this baby have to meet a ferocious beast so casually? Big Meatball ate one of the youths. The other two youths were so scared that their faces turned pale. Run, run, run. They were not as fast as Big Meatball. Big Meatball ate them one by one and soon swallowed the other two youths. Big Meatball rolled back from a distance and stopped in front of Shi Shang. Its body was covered with a layer of black fur. Its eyes and mouth couldn't be seen. It was just a round meatball. However, Shi Shang knew that it was looking at him and was about to. Big Meatball suddenly opened its mouth. Shi Shang quickly jumped back and jumped onto the parasol tree next to him. Big Meatball didn't bite him. It ran over the vegetation and hit the roots of the parasol tree. It purred as it circled around the sycamore tree. Shi Shang looked down at Big Meatball below him. Could this thing be killed? Shi Shang stepped on the branches and jumped onto a parasol tree next to him. Big Meatball immediately rolled under another tree and hit the trunk with its body. Shi Shang quickly jumped a few trees and then jumped down. He instantly drew his iron sword and slashed at Big Meatball. Little White. Clang. The iron sword hit the ground and the sword energy swept a gully in the ground. Big Meatball, who was in front of her just now, was gone. Lu Yun's voice sounded from the side. Little Phoenix, you are all the same. Why are you so anxious to kill each other? Shi Shang. Who the hell is the same as a beast? Well, her body was now. Shi Shang looked at Lu Yun. He was holding a furry ball in his arms. The size was completely different from what Shi Shang saw just now. Little Phoenix, look, you scared Little White. Lu Yun touched the thing in his hand. Little White. EXM. This was the Little White he was talking about? It was so black. How was it white? It's too exaggerated and unrealistic. Shi Shang used his sword to support himself on the ground. You actually raised a beast. She had watched it eat a human. No, it ate an immortal. But this thing was actually raised at home. How scary. Lu Yun raised his index finger and put it to his lips. Shoo. Little Phoenix, don't tell anyone. Okay, give it to me. I will kill it. Shi Shang agreed readily. Then no one will know. Lu Yun stuffed Little White into his sleeve. Little Phoenix, it is not good to fight. Little White is just a little greedy. You have already punished it. How about you spare its life? I didn't even kill it. What punishment was there to punish? What if I don't? Then I will expose you for raising a beast. Lu Yun's face turned serious. Shi Shang. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen such a shameless person. She deserved to be banished to that god-forsaken place in the desolate sea. Shi Shang weighed the pros and cons. She couldn't kill Lu Yun. The beast was hidden by Lu Yun. Plus, the beast was strong. It would be difficult for her to kill it. Then she would find a chance. Get out of my South Wu Mountain. South Wu Mountain? Why is this? South Wu Mountain? The last few words were blocked by the surrounding parasol trees. In the entire heavenly realm, only South Wu Mountain had parasol trees. When he came here, he had followed Little White's aura. He didn't look around. South Wu Mountain used to be withered, but now it was full of vitality. He didn't even think about South Wu Mountain. Why did this place become like this? Shi Shang sneered. South Wu Mountain has always been like this. But that was a long time ago, Lu Yun muttered. Then his eyes widened. I know. It is because of you. Get out. Lu Yun didn't bother with South Wu Mountain and ignored Shi Shang's eviction order. Lil Phoenix, come with me to meet someone. I'm not going. If he went, he would definitely cause trouble. It would involve 1,000 years of grudges and 10,000 years of love. I just want to quietly act cool and wait for the female lead to come online. I don't want to do any side missions. Little Phoenix, I am doing this for your own good. Hey, Little Phoenix, why are you attacking me? Lu Yun was sent flying by the iron sword's sword aura. Lu Yun stood in midair and stared at the iron sword in Shi Shang's hand. Little Phoenix, where did you get this sword from? Shen Yuan's sword. I've never heard of it. Shi Shang rolled his eyes and swung at him again. Chapter 1147. Lu Yun returned to his palace in a sorry state. Si Zhu came out to greet him. Immortal Master, did you go out to fight again? Lu Yun glared at Si Zhu. Is your immortal master that kind of person? Si Zhu. That's right. Lu Yun took Little White out and handed it to Si Zhu. Keep an eye on Little White. Don't let it run out again. Si Zhu hugged Little White and trembled a little. She was very afraid of this vicious beast. If not for the immortal monarch's aura on her body, it would have already eaten her. Little White flipped over in Si Zhu's hand, seemingly scornful. Immortal Lord, if it wants to go out, we can't stop it. This thing would eat anything. Barriers were completely useless against it. Feed it on time every day. Don't starve it, and it won't run away. Didn't I tell you before that your brain shouldn't be filled with gossip? Put more useful things in it. Si Zhu wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Sir Immortal, it already ate everything you left behind. Lu Yun scratched his head. Is that so? Why is your appetite getting bigger again? So, Immortal Monarch, do you want to bring back some food reserves? However, Lu Yun did not mention this. Immortal Lord, an immortal child just sent an invitation, Si Zhu hurriedly said when she saw that Lu Yun was about to leave again. Lu Yun turned around. Who wants to do something? These immortals of the God realm have nothing better to do. Immortal Monarch Jianmu has become an immortal venerable. Who? Si Zhu retreated, her voice even softer. Immortal Lord Jianmu. His immortal lord and Jianmu immortal lord had a feud. He wondered what the immortal lord was going to do this time. Lu Yun waved his hand. Prepare a generous gift. Ha! Si Zhu looked at Lu Yun in confusion. Why was it so calm? There weren't many celestial venerables in the divine realm. One could count them with 10 fingers. Now that Jianmu had suddenly become an immortal venerable, even the immortal emperor had sent his most trusted aide. Naturally, Shi Shang, the mascot, was also invited. Shi Shang really didn't want to come. But when she thought about this kind of situation, she knew that something was bound to happen. There would be a good show to watch, so she still came slowly. Exalted Immortal Qi Li has arrived. This plane was divided into Earth Immortal, True Immortal, Heaven Immortal, High Immortal, Immortal Monarch, Immortal Supremacy, and Immortal Emperor. Earth Immortals were those who had just ascended from the mortal realm and needed to slowly climb up. Celestial Immortals were born in the God realm. Logically speaking, Shi Shang should be a Celestial Immortal, but her bloodline was nobler than that of ordinary phoenixes, so she was directly conferred the title of Exalted Immortal. The disciple of Senior Immortal Jianmu was standing at the door to welcome them. When he heard the announcement, he immediately sent someone to invite Senior Immortal Jianmu inside. This was the main character that had recently caused a great deal of commotion in the God realm. Eldest senior brother, the Celestial Venerable, said that he can't leave at the moment and asked you to welcome him on his behalf. A disciple quickly came out and conveyed Jianmu's words. The expression of the man who was addressed as eldest senior brother changed slightly. The Immortal Venerable meant that he no longer valued this person. The Phoenix clan used to be powerful, but now, she was the only one left. It was understandable that the Venerable Immortal didn't pay attention to her. While eldest senior brother's mind was racing, a figure had already appeared on the other side. It was a very petite girl, or rather, a child. She wore a black dress, and the phoenix embroidered on the hem of her dress swayed as she walked, like a burning flame. She didn't walk very fast, and the childish expression on her face was indifferent. No one could tell what she was feeling, and it was indescribably strange. Welcome, Exalted Immortal Qi Li. Eldest senior brother could only brace himself and go forward. Shi Shang didn't see Senior Immortal Jianmu's figure. Jianmu was now a Senior Immortal, and his status was higher than hers. It wasn't wrong for him to not come out. Before Shi Shang could speak, another announcement came from behind. Exalted Immortal Chiu Su has arrived. As soon as the announcement was made, a figure came out from inside. She passed by Shi Shang and went to welcome the beautiful figure behind him. Chiu Su congratulates Senior Immortal Jianmu. The woman's voice was clear and melodious, and it was very pleasant to the ears. There's no need for formalities. I'm already very happy that you can come. The voice was full of energy. It wasn't difficult to hear the man's admiration for the woman in his tone. Shi Shang's mouth twitched. He passed the item in his hand to eldest senior brother, who had an unpleasant expression, and walked slowly inside. Eldest senior brother was a little surprised. She didn't show any signs of anger at all. Her temper was really good. Speaking of which, South Wu Mountain's vitality was restored overnight. This matter is indeed related to the Phoenix clan. Have you seen that person? No, we've only seen Senior Immortal Ling and the Immortal Emperor. I heard from the people who came back from the Desolate Sea that it's a little girl. She wore a fiery red dress. It shouldn't be difficult to recognize her when she comes later. The battle at the Desolate Sea, but... Sure, don't talk about this. The Immortal Emperor ordered that we're not allowed to talk about it. Right. I almost forgot about it. Yunimo was an exalted immortal. Falling into depravity and becoming a demon was a very embarrassing matter. It was normal for the Immortal Emperor to forbid people from talking about it. Shi Shang walked past these immortals. They heard that Yunimo had turned into ashes. However, this was only the version that was told to the public. As the male lead, he definitely wouldn't die so easily. Ever since Shi Shang came in, he heard rumors about her the most. Those who participated in the battle at the Desolate Sea were far away and didn't see her clearly. They only knew that she was a little girl in a red dress. In the immortal realm, the color of one's clothes was a symbol. Normal people wouldn't change their clothes easily. So when Shi Shang swaggered past them, no one noticed her. These people were in groups of 2 or 3. Very few of them stood alone. Shi Shang's gaze casually swept across them. When he saw a corner, his eyes suddenly narrowed. He jumped down from the corridor and ran over there. Little White, who was squatting among a bunch of flowers, sensed danger and immediately ran to a secluded corner. Shi Shang chased Little White to the backyard and blocked it. Shi Shang smiled sinisterly like a hooligan. Run, why aren't you running? Little White circled around the wall. Suddenly, it opened its mouth and gnawed on the wall. A hole was bitten into the wall. However, before it could run out, all of its fur stood on end. The enlarged iron sword blocked the hole. Little White bumped into the iron sword. It was dizzy and saw stars. So dizzy. Why are there 2 women in front of me? Smells so good. Food. I'm hungry. I want to eat. Little White opened its mouth dizzily. It wanted to swallow the food in front of it. However, it couldn't bite anything. In the next second, it was picked up by someone. Little White immediately woke up. It shrunk its body and jumped out of Shi Shang's hands. When it landed on the ground, it enlarged again and bumped into Shi Shang. Shi Shang didn't avoid it. Instead, he held the iron sword. Little White probably didn't expect Shi Shang to react this way. It suddenly turned its head and crashed into the wall with a hole. It rolled over to the other side of the wall. That was where Shi Shang and the other immortals were chatting. As soon as it went over, there was a loud shout next door. Ah! It's Tao Tai. Why is it here? We can't let it run away. Catch it. It went that way. Stop it, stop it. Asterisk Little White OS. What did I do? I was just hungry and wanted to eat. Is it my fault that I'm hungry? Boo-hoo, I feel wrong too. Chapter 1148. When Shi Shang came over, Little White was already surrounded and rolling on the ground. In Shi Shang's eyes, it was rolling on the ground. Shi Shang chased after it. Little White shrank again and jumped in front of Shi Shang. Shi Shang subconsciously grabbed it. Little White rubbed against Shi Shang's hand in a very friendly manner, acting obedient and docile. Alarm bells rang in Shi Shang's head. Damn it! The immortals on the opposite side had already surrounded Shi Shang. Seeing Little White's obedient appearance, they began to look at it suspiciously. Master! A soft voice came from the furry thing in Shi Shang's hand. Shi Shang! You can talk, damn it! Who the hell is your master? Don't call me that! Who are you? One of the immortals stood out, his face full of suspicion and wariness. Why does Tao Tai call you master? Whose child is this? Why haven't I seen it before? It's so cute, I should have seen it before. Because she is my master. Little White continued in a soft voice. Master said that you are all a bunch of trash. I want to eat you all. The immortals. How could Tao Tai recognize a master? It was a ferocious beast. Tao Tai was suppressed under the everlasting mountain behind the Huang Sea precisely because it couldn't be killed and there was no way to make it recognize a master. It was fine that it ran out, but it actually called a little girl master? What did they miss? Shi Shang was also confused by its master's words. Calm down. What's the point of arguing with a beast? Shi Shang flipped his left hand, took out a rope, and quickly tied Little White up. Master, right? Let I teach you a good lesson. Little White might have realized that this was different from what it thought and struggled violently. It was round and not easy to catch. Shi Shang almost caught it, but fortunately, he tied it into a ball in the end. No matter how Little White struggled, it couldn't break free. Shi Shang sneered at it. This rope has been consecrated. You, a beast, want to break free? Dream on. At this time, Jianmu also arrived with his men. Seeing the strange scene here, he asked curiously, Where's Tao Tai? Caught. Senior Immortal Jianmu. Hearing Jianmu's voice, everyone came back to their senses and bowed. Jianmu asked again, Where is Tao Tai? One of them pointed at the round ball in Shi Shang's hand. Jianmu looked over and saw the fire phoenix embroidered on Shi Shang's skirt. Then, it was Little White in her hand. Jianmu's expression froze. Exalted Immortal Qi Li, can you explain what's going on? What? Qi Li? This little girl in front of him? Everyone looked at each other. What was going on? Shi Shang swung Little White around. How would I know what's going on? This thing belongs to Lu Yun. It's none of my business. This time, everyone was even more dumbfounded. They were not unfamiliar with the name Lu Yun. He was the scum of the God realm. However, he seemed to have an unspeakable relationship with the Immortal Emperor. As long as he didn't go too far, the Immortal Emperor had always turned a blind eye to him. They were also very desperate. We all heard it call you master just now. Why is it related to Senior Immortal Lu Yun? Someone asked. Like master, like pet. Haven't you heard of this before? Shi Shang rolled his eyes. This exalted Immortal Qi Li didn't seem to be easy to get along with. The key was that she looked very young. It was really strange for a child to speak in such an arrogant tone. Yes, she was very bold too. How do you know it's Senior Immortal Lu Yun? When Jianmu heard Lu Yun's name, his eyes flashed. Shi Shang's impression of Jianmu was even worse than Lu Yun's. It was not because he looked down on him, but because of the expression on his face when he heard Lu Yun's name. Shi Shang's tone was even more arrogant when dealing with people who disliked him. I just know. Why should I tell you? Who do you think you are? Exalted Immortal Qi Li, this is Senior Immortal Jianmu. The person who said this probably thought that Shi Shang didn't know Jianmu. Shi Shang glanced at him and ignored him. Shi Shang threw Little White to the ground and stepped on it. The iron sword moved in front of Little White. You wanted to eat me last time, didn't you? Now, you even dare to frame me. You've got guts. I can't kill your retarded master, but can't I kill you? The iron sword stabbed Little White fiercely. Little White couldn't continue to grow bigger, smaller, and prettier. Bah! Little White couldn't dodge. It could only endure. The iron sword stabbed into Little White's body through the gap in the rope. It was very soft, but it didn't pierce through. Shi Shang stabbed Little White several times, but there were no wounds on its body. Shi Shang felt Little White's contempt. This thing's body was like cotton. No matter how much strength you used, it would soften. How do we kill this thing? Shi Shang asked the group of immortals standing opposite him. We can't kill it, one of the immortals said weakly. If Tao Tai could be killed, would they still need to suppress it? Shi Shang's mouth twitched. So you have lived for so long, but you haven't even figured out how to kill Tao Tai? What's the point of living? The immortals. This was an ancient ferocious beast. It had lived longer than them. Wasn't it normal that they couldn't kill it? If they couldn't kill it, they couldn't let it go either. Shi Shang's gaze landed on Jianmu. This fellow should have a grudge against Lu Yun. Shi Shang picked up Little White and threw it to Jianmu. Immortal Jianmu, this is your territory. I'll leave it to you to deal with. The immortals. It really wasn't hers. If it really was hers, who would do it? Jianmu caught Little White in a flurry and looked at the rope strangely. It was golden and very soft. He didn't know what material it was made of, but if it could trap Tao Tai, it definitely wasn't an ordinary item. He coughed. Since it's not immortal blazing lees, I misunderstood. Tao Tai will send someone to deal with it. Don't worry. The immortals. That was it. Why did it feel like this plot didn't have any ups and downs at all? Let me introduce everyone. This is the last bloodline of the Phoenix clan, Immortal Blazing Lee. Jianmu's tone was a little nonchalant. Clearly, he didn't have any fear of this lone clan. Jianmu felt that Shi Shang was just lucky to have caught Tao Tai. Moreover, with so many people helping him, she might have picked up a bargain. There was no difference between the immortal world and the human world. Some were alone, but most immortals still had backing and families. The immortal emperor didn't seem to value the Phoenix clan that only had one Phoenix left. Jianmu felt that there was nothing to be afraid of. Immortal supremacy. Jianmu's attitude also affected the others' attitudes. He gave a perfunctory introduction. Of course, there were also people who understood. Whether it was Shi Shang catching Tao Tai or the matter of the Desolate Sea, once might be luck, but twice was definitely not luck. These people gave Shi Shang a friendly attitude. Shi Shang's attitude was their attitude. After a few words, although he was a little indifferent, he wasn't as sharp as before. #hashtag today's Moonlight Flower flavored ticket #hashtag Moonlight Flower. I didn't make it up. It really exists. It really exists. It really exists. #hashtag daily series of monthly votes #hashtag daily series of votes #. Chapter 1149. Zhong Ling arrived late and heard their discussion. He hurriedly found Shi Shang standing in the corner. Shaoli, are you okay? Shi Shang asked curiously, what can happen to me? Jianmu had some conflicts with the Phoenix clan in the past. I was worried that he would make things difficult for you. It's good that you're fine. Zhong Ling was relieved. Shi Shang. No wonder that idiot didn't like her. So there was a conflict. Zhong Ling was the immortal emperor's favorite person and was very busy. After meeting Shi Shang, he was called away by someone else. Shi Shang couldn't understand why Zhong Ling was so nice to her. In the plot, Zhong Ling belonged to the second male lead. Wait. The body she was using now was supposed to be the female lead's. That wasn't right. Zhong Ling's kindness to the female lead was also inexplicable. Shi Shang's mind turned several corners and guessed several possibilities. In the end, she felt that the most reliable one was that Zhong Ling knew someone from the Phoenix clan. It was more likely that he knew this body's mother or father. This was a romance novel, so there was a 2/3 chance that he knew the original owner's mother. Melodramatic. Tricks. Life was melodramatic everywhere. If one basin wasn't enough, then another. In the future, she should stay away from the second male lead. This was the female lead's man. She didn't dare to touch him. When the banquet was about to end, Shishang suddenly heard someone shouting that a fight had broken out. Those who were still inside all ran out. Some even used spells to escape. Shishang walked out slowly. When she reached the door, the battle outside had already ended. Lu Yun hugged Little White and looked disdainfully at Jianmu, who was lying on the ground. Jianmu, even if you become a venerable immortal, you're still no match for me. Go back and cultivate. Don't think about how to flatter people all day long. It's embarrassing. Lu Yun, don't be too arrogant. Jianmu jumped up from the ground angrily. That's Tao Tai. Why did you let it out? Lu Yun scratched Little White's fur and sneered. What Tao Tai? This is my pet, Little White. Jianmu, don't make a fool of yourself if your eyes are bad. Little White, didn't I warn you not to run out? Look, these people are waiting to take your life. Little White rolled over unhappily. It was too hungry. The immortals. This person was also someone who spouted nonsense, but they couldn't afford to offend him. Jianmu's sense of justice exploded. So many people are not blind. Lu Yun, you secretly released the Tao Tai. I will report this to the immortal emperor. Lu Yun stuffed Little White into his sleeve. Send my regards to the immortal emperor. Jianmu was so angry that his face and neck turned red. Lu Yun seemed to be preparing to leave, but when he turned his gaze to the door, he saw Shishang squatting in the corner and eating melon seeds. The corner of his mouth twitched, and in a flash, he appeared in front of Shishang. Little Phoenix, what are you doing here? Shishang spat out the shell of the sunflower seed and said, To watch the show. Do you want to fight with him again? I came too late and didn't see it. Little Phoenix wants to see? Shishang felt that Lu Yun was up to something and immediately denied it. I don't want to see it. Little White said you wanted to kill it? I thought you didn't kill him. You even managed to save him. You're really lucky. Even that beast is doing better than me. Someone saved me. Bad review. Shishang stood up and raised his eyebrows. Why don't you kill him again? I can consider it as getting rid of evil for immortals. Lu Yun covered his cuffs. No need to trouble Little Phoenix. Little White is still young. See you next time, Little Phoenix. Lu Yun's figure disappeared from everyone's sight in the blink of an eye. Jianmu was still immersed in anger when he suddenly felt someone standing beside him. Immortal Jianmu, can you return my rope to me? Jianmu was taller than him, so Shishang could only raise his head. Jianmu's pent-up anger was vented at once. What rope? I've never seen it before. Is that so? Shishang smiled ambiguously. Suddenly, he drew his sword and slashed at Jianmu. He roared, How dare you keep eyes things? I didn't care about what happened just now, but you still want to take advantage of me. Who gave you the right to do that? You have a grudge against the Phoenix clan, so why are you making fun of I? What did I do to provoke you? Shishang waved his iron sword wildly. Jianmu had just been hit by Lu Yun and hadn't reacted yet, so he dodged awkwardly. Jianmu jumped a little further away, his eyes full of disgust. Qi Li, you're offending your superior. Don't think that I won't dare to do anything to you because of your special status. I just want to take back my things. Immortal Jianmu, you're exaggerating. Shishang's eyes curved. The iron sword fell again. Jianmu didn't have time to speak and could only fight back, but the effect was not obvious. If it was Lu Yun, then it would be fine. After all, no one in the heavenly realm knew how strong he was. Sometimes he was weak, sometimes he was frighteningly strong. But now, such a little girl could suppress Jianmu. This was a little terrifying. Jianmu didn't have time to defend himself. He was swept by the sword Qi and fell from the sky. Shishang also jumped down and stepped on his chest. The iron sword cut open his belt and found the rope. Immortal Jianmu, it's just a small thing. Why do you have to be so sneaky? If you really like it, I won't give it to you. At this moment, Jianmu only wanted to kill Shi Sheng. This detestable little girl actually embarrassed him in front of so many people. This made him feel even worse than being beaten by Lu Yun. After all, he had never defeated Lu Yun before. As they fought, he got used to it. Shi Sheng put away the rope and looked at Jianmu. He felt that it wasn't enough to vent his anger, so he beat him up again. After beating up Jianmu, Shi Sheng tugged at his skirt and glanced at the people who were watching the show. Then, he dragged the iron sword and left. Host, why didn't you kill Jianmu? The system popped up to ask a question. According to the host's previous style, she would definitely kill him. Shi Sheng snorted in his heart. Do you think I'm someone who kills people for no reason? Yes. If you're not, then no one in this world is. When it comes to the level of violence, my host isn't SS, or SSS. She's at the level of the universe. Tremble, you fish-lipped mortals. Wait, something doesn't seem right. Guzi, our love is over. We never loved each other. From the day you called me Guzi, we were already irreconcilable enemies. So, host, why didn't you kill him? Shi Sheng randomly came up with an excuse. It would dirty my sword. How could the system believe such an obvious excuse? It carefully analyzed the details just now and didn't find anything worthy of the host's fear. The host had nothing to fear. So, why didn't she kill Jianmu? The system was very conflicted. However, Shi Sheng really didn't think about anything. Women were always fickle. The system couldn't understand. This is a fake group. Little fairy. My waist hurts, my neck hurts, my legs hurt, everywhere hurts. Cherub. What are you up to now? Little fairy. That little demon doesn't love me. Cherub. Which little demon? Little fairy. Votes. Cherub. Goodbye. Little fairy. Don't go. Love me one more time. Chapter 1150. Taotia's incident was quite big, but in the end, it was left unsettled. Lu Yun obtained an official breeding certificate, and from then on, there were 3 bullies in the heavenly realm. Why 3? There was also a new bully, Sheng. Ever since Shi Sheng beat up Jianmu, there were always people who wanted to secretly cause trouble for her. In the end, they were all beaten back. If the beating was serious, these people would report Shi Sheng to the Celestial Emperor. Lu Yun was already a headache, and now there was another one. The Celestial Emperor was always in seclusion and pretended not to be there. She was the last phoenix. How could a lucky mascot be punished so casually? Most importantly, this lucky mascot was a bit awesome. Once, she almost turned his celestial palace upside down. When the female lead was not online, Shi Sheng could only act like a tyrant in the heavenly realm. He was promoted from a small bully to a big bully. If anyone heard that the blazing immortal monarch was coming, they couldn't wait to find a hole to hide in. That's right, she was promoted from a superior immortal to a celestial monarch. When Shi Sheng caused trouble, the entire heavenly realm would be in chaos. So in the end, everyone was very self-aware. No matter how sullen they would hold it in. No matter how much hatred they had, they would not provoke this lunatic. The only thing that made Shi Sheng unhappy was that she didn't grow taller, not at all. Not at all. How infuriating. Amidst these chaotic days, the female lead, Sama, finally came online. It was a dark and windy night. No, it was a sunny day. When Shi Sheng was strolling in the heavenly realm, he saw 2 Xianyi bullying a little girl. The little girl looked to be about 15 or 16. She was wearing a Xianyi dress from a certain palace. She was quite cute. When she was bullied, she just endured it and didn't show any signs of exploding. Shi Sheng didn't want to save her, but Xiao Bai suddenly jumped out and made a commotion. When the Xianyi saw her, she ran away with a pale face, leaving the confused little girl behind. Eat. Xiao Bai stared at the little girl and drooled. Eat. Shi Sheng egged Xiao Bai on. Will you complain? Shi Sheng smiled sweetly. Guess. You'll definitely complain. Little White curled up into a ball and rolled around. You're the most heartless woman. Its master didn't allow it to eat the two-legged ones here, but these two-legged ones were much more delicious than the ones its master gave it. So hungry. He really wanted to eat it. That food seemed to be more delicious than the others. Thinking of this, Little White began to get restless and rolled towards the young lady. Even if it couldn't eat her, it would be good to satisfy its craving. The little girl looked at the round Little White and reached out to pick it up. She looked like she liked it. Shi Shang's expression could only be described with one word: horror. No, 2 words. If it was anyone else, they would have been eaten by Little White long ago. When the little girl hugged it, not only did it not eat it, it even rubbed against the little girl in a particularly intoxicated manner. Shi Sheng face-bombed. Lu Yun, your pet is rebelling. Is this your immortal pet? The little girl carried Xiao Bai and walked over to Shi Sheng. She sized up Shi Sheng curiously with a strange look in her eyes. Shi Sheng interpreted the information as follows. Why is this little girl wearing black? It's so strange, but she looks really good in it. Wearing such beautiful clothes, she must be the master of some palace. Shi Sheng was slightly shorter than the female lead. After all, the female lead was 15 or 16, while Shi Sheng looked 12 or 13. No. Shi Sheng denied with a straight face. Oh. The little girl was disappointed. Then she asked, Then do you know who it is? I don't know. Then, Shi Sheng learned that the little girl's name was Yao Qin. Yao Qin was the female lead's name. No matter what avatar the female lead changed, this name would definitely not change. Then, the female lead took Little White away, saying that she was going to find its master. Shi Sheng waved from behind. Little White, good luck. When I see Lu Yun, I'll definitely tell him that you already have a new master. Sure enough, in the evening, Lu Yun rushed to South Wu Mountain to find her. After so many years, she had already sealed off South Wu Mountain so tightly that even a fly couldn't fly in. Lu Yun shouted outside for a long time. The parasol tree at the edge couldn't stand the noise and reluctantly sent a message back to the mother tree. The mother tree was the largest parasol tree where Shi Sheng lived. All the parasol trees on South Wu Mountain were the children of this parasol tree. Shi Sheng was lying on a rocking chair woven from several branches, swaying back and forth as she read a small book she had collected from somewhere. Lush branches reached in from outside and swept away the book in her hand. A clear child's voice sounded in Shi Sheng's ears. Master, that annoying person is here again. Perhaps it was because the parasol tree had been by Shi Sheng's side all these years of cultivation that it could speak. Shi Sheng pulled the book back. So what if he's here? Why are you afraid of him? He's so noisy. The branches moved around on the side, and the 2 leaves kept opening and closing. It was extremely aggrieved. Shi Sheng sighed, put down the book, and stood up. She walked to the edge of the palace and jumped down. The parasol tree branches below suddenly extended and danced in the air, forming a path that went straight to the edge. Shi Sheng walked all the way to the edge of the palace. Seeing her come out, Lu Yun hurriedly flew over. Little Phoenix. Why are you looking for me in the middle of the night? Shi Sheng stood inside, and the 2 of them spoke through an invisible barrier. Lu Yun didn't beat around the bush and went straight to the point. Is Little White with you? Little White hadn't returned yet? Was it detained by the female lead? Or had it really defected? Shi Sheng said with a serious face, I killed it. Liu Yun's mouth twitched. If you could kill it, it would have died countless times over the years. Little Phoenix, you must know where it is, right? Someone saw you with it today. I'm not its nanny. Why would I look after it? Little Phoenix, tell me quickly. Where did Little White go? Lu Yun was anxious outside. You've been trying to kill it for so many years, but haven't you? At least it has some revolutionary sentiments. Shi Sheng touched his chin. Don't you have telepathy with it? I'm anxious because I can't sense it. Otherwise, why would he be so anxious? Oh. Shi Shang dragged out the word. Then I guess your little white is going to defect. Lu Yun. It had been too long, and Shi Shang almost couldn't remember the plot. She dug out the plot once, and it seemed that the female lead really did have a pet. Coincidentally, it was also called Little White. The process of the female lead meeting Little White was a little different. In the plot, Little White was never exposed. When it was wandering in the heavenly realm, it was almost discovered. When it was hiding, it met the female lead and was then subdued by her as a pet. Shi Shang gloated. Your Little White was carried away by a little girl this afternoon. Carried? Little White only allowed 4 people to carry it. He, Si Zhu, Nian Dong, and this little phoenix in front of him. The others couldn't even touch it, so how could it let others carry it? Little Phoenix, are you sure? It's up to you to believe it or not. It wasn't her Little White anyway. Asterisk monthly votes. Monthly votes. Monthly votes. Chapter 1151. Shi Shang didn't know which palace the female lead was from, so the clues he provided to Lu Yun were limited. In order to find Little White, Lu Yun began to wander around the heavenly realm. Shi Shang followed behind him. He didn't intend to help, he just wanted to watch the show. Celestial Lord Lu Yun, Little White really isn't with me. Celestial Lord Lu Yun, how can you wander around? Celestial Lord Lu Yun, did you lose Little White? I don't have it here. Get out, I'm going to close the palace. Little White is lost? I have to report this to the Celestial Lord. Report to the Celestial Lord. The heavenly realm was in chaos because of Lu Yun. Even the Celestial Lord knew that Little White was lost and ordered Lu Yun to find it within 4 hours. Others helped to find it. Thus, the entire heavenly realm set off a campaign to find Little White. The culprit, Lu Yun, gained a lot of anti-fans. Shi Shang followed behind Lu Yun and ate melon seeds. When others saw him, they all walked around him. If Lu Yun caused such a big commotion, what would happen if this person caused trouble as well? When the female lead used this body, she was directly taken away by Zhongling. But now that the female lead wasn't using this body, where could she be? This was really a problem. Shi Shang walked and suddenly bumped into Lu Yun's back. Shi Shang touched his nose. There's cat biscuits. Why did you suddenly stop? Lu Yun's voice sounded from the front. Little Phoenix. My contract with Little White has been broken. Shi Shang. The female lead was awesome. Pfft. Lu Yun spat out a mouthful of blood without warning. His body went limp and he half knelt on the ground, looking in a certain direction with a pale face. Lu Yun suffered a backlash after his contract was forcefully broken. What's that? Someone behind him exclaimed. Shi Shang looked up and saw a beam of light in the distance that shot straight into the sky. A very uncomfortable aura spread from that direction. Ah! The male lead is going to come online. Just you wait, you bunch of trash, kneel and lick my feet. No, if the male lead comes online, I'll be unlucky. There's nothing to be happy about. Shi Shang took out his iron sword and quickly rushed over. At the same time, many immortals in the heavenly realm also flew in the direction of the beam of light. When Shi Shang arrived, Zhongling was already there with a serious look on his face. Shi Shang walked around Zhongling. If this guy saw her, there was nothing she could do. Shi Shang had never been to this place before, but he had heard from others that this was the everlasting mountain, and that Tao Tai had been suppressed inside before. Other than the Tao Tai, there were many other ferocious beasts and strange things that were suppressed below. Was there something wrong with the brain of the person who suppressed the male lead? Once the male lead appeared, these things would definitely be released. Shi Shang found the entrance to the everlasting mountain. This place was built like an underground palace, and every once in a while, one could see a revolving array. There were some strange creatures inside the formation. Most of them were dispirited, but some of them seemed to have sensed something and were very excited as they attacked the formation. Shi Shang walked deeper into the restaurant. The further they walked, the more uncomfortable the feeling became. When she reached the glowing area, the first thing she saw was the female lead and Xiao Bai lying on the ground. The source of the light was a circular platform. The light enveloped the platform, and talisman papers were floating around it. In the light, a human figure could be vaguely seen. If this continued, the formation would definitely be broken. Shi Shang looked at the formation a few times, took out a talisman paper from the space, and pasted it on it. However, her talisman paper burned as soon as it touched it. Shi Shang was slightly surprised, and took out a few more talismans, not believing in evil. The result was the same. Was this the irresistible factor? Because the plot wanted him to come out, no matter what it was, he had to come out. I don't believe it today. Shi Shang rolled up his sleeves, threw the iron sword away, and began to take things out of the space. She walked back and forth around the table and began to draw an array around the table. Gotcha! Shi Shang glanced at the table and sped up the drawing of the array. The gotcha sound in his ears became faster and faster. Shi Shang finished the last stroke and injected spiritual energy. The array was unstable for a moment, but fortunately, it only shook a little, and the spiritual energy filled the entire array. The light of the array rose, and in an instant, it blocked the light from the table, sealing it in a semicircular transparent barrier. From afar, it looked like a huge light bulb. The light hit the transparent barrier, trying to break through, but the barrier did not move at all. There was no reaction. The light gradually dimmed, and the figure inside was revealed. It was still the same black robe that Shi Shang had seen before, but there was no black fog around it, and the standard handsome face of the male lead was revealed. He was handsome from every angle. He stared at Shi Shang, and his voice was cold. "It's you." It was because of her that he was here. Now, it was because of her that the array that was about to break was restored. "It's me." Shi Shang's eyes curved. "Are you surprised? What do you want?" "Nothing." Shi Shang was too short, and it was tiring to look up at the person on the table, so she sat on the iron sword to be level with Yun Mo. "I just don't like you, so I want to lock you up." Yun Mo's gaze fell on the iron sword that Shi Shang was sitting on. This sword, it was as powerful as the Shenyuan sword. Why hadn't he heard of such a powerful sword in this world? Yun Mo snorted. "You're talking big. Haven't I locked you up already?" Shi Shang shrugged. Yun Mo, oh. Yao Qin sat up, holding her head. Her eyes were full of confusion. She took the initiative to look at Little White, and when she felt that Little White was still warm, she heaved a sigh of relief. She then realized that the atmosphere was a little strange, and she looked in the direction of Shi Shang. Shi Shang's black robe left a deep impression on her. She was slightly surprised. "It's you." Shi Shang swung her legs, and her hands were on the sword. The hem of her robe swayed in the air, drawing a beautiful arc. She looked at Yao Qin with a half-smile. "Are you planning to let this man out?" "Huh?" Yao Qin was stunned. Then, she looked at Yun Mo sympathetically. "He's very pitiful, and he didn't do anything. Why did you lock him up here? He's a demon, and he's at odds with the immortals. Why do you think you locked him up?" Yao Qin's expression changed. She looked at Yun Mo in disbelief. "Demon? How could it be? He's clearly..." Shi Shang sneered. "Otherwise, why do you think those idiots in the immortal realm locked him up here? Is it because he's good-looking? You lied to me." Yao Qin looked at Yun Mo, hurt. Shi Shang was gloating. "Because you're stupid. Who else would I lie to?" Yun Mo probably didn't know that this was his favorite. He might have said something to her before to trick Yao Qin into letting him out. Yun Mo remained silent. The female lead was still questioning him like a fine jade. "Why did you lie to me? I trusted you so much." "Shi Shang, wasn't it just a lie?" Why did she make it sound like she wasn't responsible for sleeping with him? Asterisk, this is a fake group. Little fairy, why don't you guys love me? Why? Why? You guys don't know how much my heart hurts. It's an indescribable pain. Cherub, speak normally. Little fairy, vote. Cherub. Chapter 1152. When Zhongling brought his men in, the first thing he saw was a sobbing Yao Qin, as well as Shi Shang, who was sitting on her sword and looking on coldly. He took a step back and ordered the people behind him who hadn't seen the situation inside. Wait outside. No one dared to refute Zhongling's words. Everyone stepped back. At this moment, Lu Yun came from behind and went straight in. Zhongling couldn't stop him for a moment, but when he thought about how often he was with Shi Shang, he let it go. Zhongling set up a barrier at the entrance and walked in. Xiao Bai, Xiao Bai. Lu Yun carried Xiao Bai and shook it hard. Xiao Bai, wake up. There's food. Food. Xiao Bai's body grew bigger. It turned its round body and seemed to be looking around. Where's the food? Everyone, even Yao Qin, stopped crying. Xiao Bai was disappointed that it couldn't find food. Master, you lied to me again. Why did you form a contract with someone else? Lu Yun's face darkened. Xiao Bai turned around innocently. I don't know, Master. Lu Yun's mouth twitched. This thing was an idiot who only knew how to eat. Someone must have lied to it. So Lu Yun looked at Yao Qin and frowned. She could make Xiao Bai break the contract with him. Now wasn't the time to think about this. He had to get Xiao Bai back first. Break the contract. Yao Qin looked at Lu Yun in a daze. His aura scared her. She stuttered. What contract? Between you and Xiao Bai. What's a contract? Yao Qin asked weakly. Lu Yun. Xiao Bai continued to turn in circles in Lu Yun's hand. Master, she's delicious. I took a bite. Lu Yun. So you bit off the contract with one bite? Why didn't he believe it? Yao Qin didn't know what a contract was, so the possibility of her breaking the contract was zero. No, she didn't even know what a contract was. How did she form a contract with Xiao Bai? Humph. Yunimo suddenly snorted. Zhongling, you people from the God realm are getting more and more useless. Zhongling's face darkened. Yunimo, don't forget that you were once from the God realm. Yunimo sneered. That was in the past. Zhongling didn't want to talk to Yunimo, so he turned to look at Lu Yun. Let's talk about your matters outside. I need to repair the array formation. Isn't the array formation working fine? Lu Yun glanced at Yunmo. Lu Yun. Zhongling suddenly raised his voice. Yunimo continued to sneer and looked at Lu Yun with an unfriendly gaze. Lu Yun ignored his gaze and touched his head. Hey, little phoenix, why did you run so fast just now? I couldn't catch up with you. Shi Shang rolled his eyes at him for changing the topic so abruptly. Lu Yun was not embarrassed at all. He walked to the Shi Shang and said, Little phoenix, come down. Why are you sitting so high up? You're far-sighted, Shi Shang answered seriously. Lu Yun. Zhongling couldn't understand the array outside, so he could only look at Shi Shang. Lu Yun came in later, and the unfamiliar girl didn't even know about the contract, so the only person who could have set up the array was Shi Shang. Little Li, did you set up this array? What else? Is there anyone else who can set it up here? He hadn't offended her recently, so why was she speaking so sarcastically? Little Li, can you break the array? No. Shi Shang shrugged. Zhongling. You don't know how to break the array you set up? Shi Shang seemed to have guessed what Zhongling was thinking. Who told you that I have to know how to break the array formation I set up? Why did he have to learn how to break an array formation that was used to trap people? If he didn't even know how to break an array formation, then no one else should know. Besides, many arrays didn't have a way to break them. Lu Yun silently gave Shi Shang a thumbs up. Zhang Ling couldn't do anything about Shi Shang, so he could only set up a new array formation outside. Including the first one, there were a total of 3 arrays and a seal in the end. Why are you keeping him? Shi Shang asked Zhang Ling curiously. Although he knew that this was a requirement of the plot, he was still curious about the reason. There had to be a reason, right? Zhang Ling shook his head. That's what the immortal emperor ordered. I don't know either. Back then, Yun Mo had already been brought to the immortal execution platform, but at the critical moment, the immortal emperor suddenly sent someone over and asked him to bring Yun Mo to the everlasting mountain. There really wasn't a reason? This was too much. The male lead was so amazing. You're crazy. Little Li, don't be rude. Zhang Ling just reminded him and didn't mean to blame him. After all, the immortal emperor was used to being scolded by her. Shi Shang pursed his lips and stood aside with Lu Yun, egging him on. Kill that little girl later, and the contract will automatically break. Lu Yun was suspicious. Little Phoenix, why do I feel like you're egging me on? Yes. Shi Shang nodded. If I don't, who will help me kill the female lead? But my suggestion is very good, isn't it? It's convenient, simple, and fast. Lu Yun. Although he felt that something was strange, what she said seemed to make sense. After Zhang Ling dismissed the people outside, he let Shi Shang and Lu Yun go out. They still had something to deal with, so Zhang Ling brought them to his palace. Yao Qin's face was pale, and she stood in the middle, trembling. Shi Shang hugged her iron sword and ate melon seeds. Lu Yun played with Little White, ignoring Yao Qin. Zhang Ling coughed. Which palace are you from? Why are you here? Yao Qin shrunk her neck. Jade Autumn Palace, I don't know why I was there. Yao Qin told Zhang Ling how she got to the everlasting mountain. It was because Little White suddenly bit her that she lost her footing and fell into the pool outside the Jade Autumn Palace. Chapter 1153. Kill her, 1 corpse, 2 lives. That's perfect, Shi Shang interjected from the side. Yao Qin's body trembled and she quickly expressed her stance. I can learn. I will definitely break the contract. Shi Shang crossed his legs and crunched on the melon seeds. How can a soul contract be broken so easily? If you die, it dies. If you live, it lives. Even a beast can't avoid it. Actually, I still suggest that you kill her and get rid of a big scourge. It's pretty good. The last sentence was directed at Zhang Ling. Yao Qin looked at Shi Shang with a pale face. Her eyes were innocent and her expression was aggrieved. She didn't know how she had offended this little girl. Little Phoenix, don't be so cruel. Xiao Bai is the same kind as you. Lu Yun randomly pulled in teammates for Xiao Bai again. Who's the same kind as it? Shi Shang looked disgusted. Can it fly? Does it have wings? There seemed to be something wrong with this. Lu Yun added, they're both beasts. Beasts my ass. I will kill the female lead now. Shi Shang threw away the melon seed shell in his hand and rushed towards Yao Qin with his iron sword. Zhang Ling quickly stopped Shi Shang. Shao Li, calm down. I can't calm down. Get out of the way. I want to kill the female lead. Zhang Ling pulled Shi Shang to the side. He wanted to persuade Shi Shang, but before he could, the girl opposite him spoke first. Zhang Ling, look, Xiao Bai has a contract with her now. If she dies, Xiao Bai will definitely die. Xiao Bai is a beast. Who knows when it will go berserk and cause irreparable damage. It's better to kill it now. Xiao Bai. Wasn't it just hungry and wanted to eat her? It was also hungry and desperate. Did she have to be so vengeful? No matter what, they had dominated the divine world together for so many years. Yet, she didn't even care about their past relationship. This woman was too heartless. Although Zhang Ling felt that Shi Shang's words made sense, he said, this girl is innocent. Shi Sheng glared. She almost let Yun Mo out. How is she innocent? Now, she can be considered to have redeemed herself. Zhang Ling could not say something like, "It's not that she hasn't been released. She will be punished accordingly, but we can't just take her life away." Pedantic. I'll teach you a lesson in the future. Zhang Ling, if there were no rules in the God realm, then everything would be a mess. Lu Yun hugged Xiao Bai and didn't dare to say a word. If it had nothing to do with Xiao Bai, he would definitely support Shi Sheng. He had to report this matter to the Immortal Emperor and let the Immortal Emperor make a decision. Shi Sheng and Lu Yun stared at each other. About 3 minutes later, Lu Yun stuffed Little White into his sleeve. "Little Phoenix, I still have something to do. I'll take my leave first." He wanted to find someone to break the contract between Little White and that strange woman. The Immortal Emperor did not punish Yao Qin. Instead, he let Zhang Ling bring Yao Qin to a place. The return trip was very fast. Almost at the same time that Ling brought Yao Qin back, Lu Yun also came back from somewhere. He was in a sorry state and shouted outside South Wu Mountain for a long time, "Little Phoenix, come out quickly." "What are you doing?" Shi Sheng sat on the parasol tree branch and looked at Lu Yun coldly. "It's an emergency. I need a drop of your blood." "Bloodletting?" Shi Sheng's mouth twitched. He stood up from the parasol tree branch. "Goodbye. We won't see each other again. Little Phoenix, don't go." Lu Yun was jumping anxiously outside. "Little Phoenix, just one drop. Just one drop of blood." When Zhang Ling brought Yao Qin over, he happened to see Lu Yun jumping outside while the people inside were impatiently preparing to leave. "Little Li," Zhang Ling hurriedly called out. Shi Sheng turned his head and glanced at Yao Qin. "You want my blood too?" Zhang Ling looked at Lu Yun in surprise. Seeing his sorry state, he guessed something. "Did Lu Yun tell you?" "Little Li, the Immortal Emperor said that as long as you give him a drop of blood, he can make a request." Shi Sheng raised his eyebrows. "Any request? As long as it's reasonable." "Haha, I'm not giving it to you." He had the final say on how reasonable the request was. When the time came, he would be the one to be cheated. This group of people was very sinister. "Little Li. Little Phoenix, don't be so heartless." Lu Yun leaned against the transparent barrier and glared at Shi Sheng. He said shamelessly, "You haven't even repaid him for saving your life back then. Just treat it as repaying him." Shi Sheng's tone was strange. "You still dare to mention it?" Lu Yun. He hadn't even settled the matter of the immortal death pool with her. Why was she so angry? No matter what these two said, Shi Sheng would not agree. "Immortal supremacy, must I ask for Immortal Lord Qi Li's blood?" Yao Qin frowned and asked timidly. Zhang Ling nodded seriously. It was not her blood, but the phoenix's blood. But she was the only phoenix in this world, so he had to ask for her blood. A drop of ordinary blood would not cause her any harm or influence. However, she had never been easy to talk to. Zhang Ling had already expected her to be rejected. "Immortal supremacy, I'm sorry. It's all my fault." Yao Qin cried, feeling wronged. Zhang Ling patted Yao Qin's head and comforted her gently. "I'm thinking of a way. Don't be sad. You didn't do much wrong." "Lu Yun, what's going on between the two of them?" Shi Sheng moved closer to Lu Yun. Zhang Ling was the second male lead. It was only a matter of time before he fell in love with the female lead. Shi Sheng was curious when Zhang Ling started to like the female lead. "I don't know." He was always worried about Little White. He had no time to care about others. "Little Phoenix, give me a drop of blood." "What do you want?" "I'll trade it with you." Shi Sheng's lips curled into a malicious smile. "Trade it with Little White." "Lu Yun. Would I have to go through so much trouble to give you Little White? Why do you care so much about a beast?" "Little White only ate. When it didn't eat, it didn't even want to attack people. What was the point of raising this thing? Even a vase should be good-looking, right? Lu Yun pinched Little White. I raised it for so long. I can't raise it for nothing, right? Shi Shang. I don't know how to respond to this reason. Can't let others benefit from it? This reason was shameless and powerful. But this wasn't a reason for I to give it blood. Lu Yun was still rejected mercilessly. I'm a person with principles. If I say no, I won't give it to you. Zhongling knew there was no hope, so he left with Yao Qin. One day later, Shi Shang found out from Lu Yun that the immortal emperor had asked Lu Yun to give Little White to Yao Qin. You gave it to her? Shi Shang asked strangely. Yes. Lu Yun was a little depressed. Shi Shang's mouth twitched. Since when did you become so easy to talk to? Lu Yun's expression suddenly turned sarcastic. He's the immortal emperor. How would I dare to disobey him? Shi Shang. I don't think a scum like you would listen to the immortal emperor. There's something fishy going on. Look at this. Lu Yun suddenly took out an egg. It was white and a little big. It was oval and emitted a faint white light. #hashtag begging for Fusong flower votes today. #hashtag begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1154. Si Zhu and Nian Dong's conversation suddenly popped up in Shi Shang's head. Hey, be careful. Sir Immortal treasures this egg. You'll be in trouble if you break it. Where did Sir Immortal pick it up? What kind of egg is this? It looks weird. Why is it glowing? What do you mean? When Sir Immortal came back last time, it fell from the sky and hit Sir Immortal. I don't know who threw it. When she couldn't move, Nian Dong and Si Zhu loved to talk about eggs beside her. She always thought they were talking about her, but later she realized they weren't. According to the description, it looked like this egg. She heard that Lu Yun picked it up too. Shi Shang asked, what egg is this? Can it be eaten? Lu Yun fiddled with the egg. I don't know. I've never seen it before. Why don't you try roasting it? The egg. Let me go. Lu Yun did as he said. He picked up some branches outside and started a fire. He threw the egg into the fire. The flames brushed past the egg without leaving a trace. Shi Shang reminded him from inside, your normal fire won't work. Lu Yun felt that Shi Shang was right. A small flame appeared on his fingertip and he threw it into the fire. As soon as the flame touched the egg immediately jumped up. Yes, it jumped up. But in the next second, the egg was gone. A black shadow flashed past and landed beside Lu Yun. Little White burped from the side and called out honestly, Master. Lu Yun, Shi Shang. Lu Yun grabbed Little White and slapped its head or butt. Spit it out. Spit it out. No, Master doesn't want me anymore. Boo-hoo. Little White cried pitifully. Little White, Little White. Yao Qin's voice came from afar. She ran over from afar. Her face was red. When she saw Lu Yun, her face turned pale. Lu Yun. Sir Immortal Lu Yun. Lu Yun didn't look at Yao Qin. He continued to hit Little White. Little White tried even harder to act pitiful. Yao Qin felt sorry for Little White. She said weakly, Sir Immortal Lu Yun. What did Little White do wrong? It ate his new pet. Shi Shang came out and squatted by the side, munching on melon seeds. Why don't you just kill it? It's not your pet anymore. Yao Qin knew that Shi Shang didn't like her. These days, she also knew what kind of existence this little girl, who looked younger than her, was in the God realm. Therefore, when Shi Shang spoke, Yao Qin didn't dare to answer. Shut up. Little White wasn't as cowardly as Yao Qin. She angrily roared. If you can't do it, I can help you. Shi Shang looked at Xiao Bai provocatively. Master, she's bullying me. I'm so hungry. Little White couldn't out-talk Shi Shang, so it complained to Lu Yun. Spit out what you just ate. Lu Yun remained unmoved as he pinched Little White with all his might. Little White twisted its body, wanting to break free from Lu Yun's grasp. However, Lu Yun had gained experience from grabbing it. How could it escape so easily? It could only shout, "I can't spit it out." It did not want to spit it out. "Xiao Bai, what did you eat? Quickly return it to Immortal Lord Lu Yun," Yao Qin hurriedly said. Yao Qin was now Little White's master. Her words were binding on Little White. Little White reluctantly spat out the egg. Little White mischievously spat the egg into the fire. The egg immediately jumped up. The eggshell made cracking sounds, and cracks appeared. A small head squeezed through the cracks, and a head poked out. It looked like a snake, but there were 2 horns on its head. The little guy desperately squeezed the cracks and finally got half of its body out. Dragon Shi Shang silently looked at Lu Yun. Did this person cheat? How could he randomly pick up a dragon egg? The dragon race had long been unable to give birth to descendants. Therefore, this dragon egg was from a long time ago. It actually hatched now. Little Dragon turned its head and looked around. It looked much more simple and honest than Little White. Little White rolled around under Little Dragon. It probably wanted to eat it. Little Dragon sensed danger and shrank its entire body into the egg. Lu Yun looked at Little Dragon with a strange expression. "Little Phoenix, I don't want to raise this. Do you want to raise it?" Shi Shang shook her head. She didn't want to raise these strange things. Lu Yun grabbed Little Dragon and handed it to Little White. "Eat it." Little White was instantly overjoyed. It opened its mouth and was about to swallow Little Dragon. "Little White." Yao Qin scolded. "Shut up." Little White didn't want to listen to Yao Qin, but its body wouldn't listen to it. It was forced to stop. Yao Qin said in disbelief, "Immortal Lord Lu Yun, Immortal Lord Qi Li, this is a dragon. How can you let Little White eat it? If I don't let it eat it, should I let you eat it?" Lu Yun's voice was cold. "When I raised Little White, I gave it the best food. A dragon is nothing. Little White, eat it." Shi Shang looked at Yao Qin with a faint smile and encouraged Little White. "Little White, eat it." "Little White, you're not allowed to eat it." Yao Qin was very afraid of the 2 people in front of her, but she still forced herself to shout. Little White was in a difficult position. It really wanted to eat it, but its body wouldn't listen to it. The dragon tasted very good, very fragrant. Roar. The instinct of a foodie took over its master's order. Little White swallowed Little Dragon in one gulp. Little White. Yao Qin was heartbroken. That was a dragon, a newborn dragon. How could it eat it? Yao Qin went forward to grab Little White. "Little White, spit it out." Little White hid on Lu Yun. "I can't spit it out." Yao Qin didn't believe it. "You spit it out just now. Why can't you spit it out?" Little White rubbed against Lu Yun. This time, it really couldn't spit it out. It didn't swallow it at all, so it could swallow it out. Now that it had swallowed it, how could it swallow it out? Lu Yun threw Little White away and waved at Shi Shang. "Little Phoenix, I'm going back." "Master." Little White gurgled as it followed behind him. Lu Yun's figure flashed and disappeared in front of Little White. Little White panicked and chased after him without thinking. Little White. As its master, Yao Qin naturally chased after it. The Immortal Emperor somehow found out that Little White had eaten a dragon. The 2 culprits, Shi Shang and Lu Yun, were summoned by the Immortal Emperor. When Shi Shang arrived, he found out that Lu Yun didn't come at all. So why did she come? Shi Shang turned around and left. Xiao Li. Zhong Ling happened to be following behind her. When he saw her walking back, he immediately called out. "Lu Yun isn't here. I'm not going in." Shi Shang continued to walk out. "Why should I take the blame alone? Moreover, this blame wasn't mine in the first place. I'm definitely not going to take it." The Immortal Emperor's voice came from inside. "Qi Li, come in." Shi Shang scratched his head and turned to enter. The immortal emperor was the only one in the hall. Shi Shang straightened his back and entered. He didn't even bow and stared straight at the immortal emperor. The immortal emperor was already used to her arrogant appearance and had no intention of pursuing the matter. I heard from Zhongling that you set up the array formation of the everlasting mountain? Shi Shang. Wasn't he asking about the dragon? Come, those who said that they had new pets. Ha ha, come and slap their faces. Chapter 1155. So what if I am? Shi Shang didn't understand what the immortal emperor meant and raised his eyebrows. The immortal emperor pondered for a moment. There's something I want you to do. Shi Shang quickly added, murder or arson. My appearance fee is very expensive. Can you afford it? The immortal emperor, Zhongling coughed and answered for the immortal emperor. Little Li, this matter concerns the three realms. It's not the time to joke. Concerns the three realms? Shi Shang's eyes turned. The demons are coming out? Zhongling. Seeing that neither of them spoke, Shi Shang guessed that he had guessed correctly. Anyway, in the Xianxia novels, the demons were the mortal enemies of the divine race. If it concerned the three realms, it must have something to do with the demons. However, the demons didn't seem to come out so early in the plot. She had trapped the male lead and didn't do anything crazy. Why did the demons come out so early? Zhongling softened his tone. Little Li, don't worry. The seal is a little loose and needs to be strengthened. The array you set up last time was very special, so I want you to come along. As long as you agree to this, I won't argue with you about the dragon, the immortal emperor said. Be reasonable. Shi Shang immediately exploded. That dragon was brought by Lu Yun. Little White's master is Yao Qin. The dragon was given to Little White by Lu Yun. What does it have to do with me? I'm just here to watch the show. It has nothing to do with me, okay? The immortal emperor. I thought they were friends. What's with this betrayal? Although the immortal emperor felt that something was wrong, he couldn't refute it. He could only look at Zhongling. Zhongling had interacted with her all these years. Even if he didn't fully understand her temperament, he knew her well. Shi Shang impatiently refused Zhongling's advice. The demons were going to come out and cause trouble anyway. It didn't matter if they came out sooner or later. Wasn't there a saying that said, the sooner you die, the sooner you'll be reincarnated? The immortal emperor didn't dare to make a big deal about the loosening of the demon's seal. He asked Zhongling to take people to investigate under the pretext of patrolling. Immortal Zhongling, is everyone here? Immortal Jianmu stood in front and asked Zhongling. Zhongling looked in a certain direction. Little Li isn't here yet. What is she going to do? The conflict between Jianmu and Shi Shang began at that banquet. After that, he was punished by the Shi Shang several times, so he disliked the Shi Shang even more. We're going there for business, not for fun. Senior Immortal Jianmu, I know that you are prejudiced against Little Li, but Little Li went there under the order of the Immortal Emperor. I hope that Senior Immortal Jianmu will pay attention to your identity and not let others laugh at you. Jianmu was a little embarrassed by Zhongling's words. After a while, he said, the time has passed. How can she make so many of us wait? Shi Shang arrived late, and Lu Yun was with her. Upon seeing Lu Yun, Zhongling had a bad premonition. He felt that this trip was a little risky. Lu Yun's identity was special, so he couldn't chase him away. Do you really think you're some big shot? You made so many of us wait for you. Jianmu couldn't help but mock. Shi Shang's small body walked past Jianmu, her light voice sounded, then you still have to wait. Jianmu. She always made people speechless with one sentence. Jianmu, it's fine if you can't beat me after so many years, but you can't even beat Little Phoenix. Tiske tiske. Lu Yun shook his head and walked past Jianmu. Jianmu's anger, which had been provoked by Shi Shang, instantly rose to the top of his head when Lu Yun provoked him. However, she had already gone over. Jianmu would lose his dignity if he continued to shout. He could only suppress his anger. Zhang Ling. These two people were always together when it came to scolding others. Their future was bleak. They had prepared a ship for this trip, the kind that could fly. The ship was full of heavenly soldiers. As a patrol, they naturally had to put on an act. Shi Shang was arranged to be on the second floor, and Lu Yun was beside her. The two of them went upstairs one after another. When Shi Shang pushed the door open, she glanced sideways at Lu Yun. "What are you doing here?" Lu Yun asked. "What is Little Phoenix doing here?" "To watch a show. The female lead was here." How could she not watch a show? If she was in a good mood, she could also do an appropriate deed to save the demons. What kind of deed is this? Host, please watch the show quietly. Don't cause trouble, okay? Lu Yun used Shi Shang's words. "I'm also here to watch the show." The two of them looked at each other for 3 seconds, then pushed the door open at the same time and entered the room. The patrol couldn't be too fast, so the ship was very slow. Sometimes, it would even stop midway. Shi Shang was bored in the room, so she prepared to go out and watch the female lead. She looked around the ship and found Yao Qin in a remote place. Yao Qin brought Little White out. Little White was rolling on the ground. Yao Qin seemed to want to take it away, but Little White was unwilling and refused to let her touch it. Yao Qin squatted on the ground. "Little White, what's wrong with you?" Little White rolled twice. It had no eyes and no nose, so she didn't know what it meant. "Little White, stop fooling around. We're outside. Can you go back to the room with me first?" Yao Qin coaxed Little White, but it didn't work. Little White was unwilling to talk to her. "Yao Qin, what's wrong?" Zhang Ling came from behind. Yao Qin was shocked. She quickly stood up and bowed. "Master Immortal." Zhang Ling helped Yao Qin up. His tone was as gentle as usual. "Why are you squatting here?" Yao Qin pointed at Little White who was rolling around. "I don't know what's wrong with Little White." Zhang Ling squatted down to study it for a while. Little White ignored him and kept rolling around. Zhang Ling had no choice but to suggest, "Lu Yun is on the ship. I'll ask him to take a look." After all, Lu Yun had raised Little White for so many years. He should know what happened to it. Yao Qin bit her lip. Will it be too troublesome for Master Lu Yun? Little White used to belong to Master Lu Yun. She had formed a contract with Little White for no reason. Now, she had to ask Master Lu Yun to take a look. Yao Qin was a little scared, but she didn't know what she was afraid of. Zhang Ling rubbed Yao Qin's head. "Lu Yun won't let anything happen to Little White. Wait here." Zhang Ling walked towards Shi Shang. When he turned the corner, he saw Shi Shang. Zhang Ling was surprised. "Little Li, why are you here?" "Looking at the scenery." Shi Shang lied without batting an eyelid. Zhang Ling looked around at his surroundings, which were completely blocked off. What scenery was there to see? Zhang Ling didn't think too much about it. She had always been in this state. Something seems wrong with Little White. I'll ask Lu Yun to take a look. Shi Shang didn't say anything. He just looked in front of him with an indifferent expression. Zhang Ling sighed. He walked around her and went upstairs. Yao Qin heard some noise, but she didn't dare to be alone with Shi Shang. She had a feeling that the little girl wanted to kill her at any time. So when Shi Shang didn't come over, she pretended not to hear anything. She squatted beside Little White and talked to it. Asking for votes. Chapter 1156. Lu Yun and Zhang Ling quickly came down. Lu Yun glanced at Shi Shang. Shi Shang shrugged innocently. She didn't do anything. She was just here to watch the show. Lu Yun retracted her gaze and walked towards Yao Qin. "Lord Lu Yun." Yao Qin bowed timidly. "I don't know what's wrong with Little White. It's been like this ever since it boarded the ship. It's hungry." Lu Yun concluded with just one look. When did you feed it? Yao Qin blushed and stammered. I didn't feed it. It doesn't eat anything I feed it. When they were below, Little White could find its own food. However, it wasn't that easy to find food on the ship. It was normal for Little White to be hungry. As a foodie, it was quite pitiful to be hungry. Lu Yun poked Little White twice and got up as if it had nothing to do with her. Just find something to feed it. Feed what? What did Little White want to eat? It didn't eat anything she fed it. Humans, beasts. Lu Yun muttered. That's all. He fed the beasts. After all, it was easy for the two-legged beasts in the heavenly realm to go missing. However, sometimes Little White would sneak out. Whether it ate or not, he didn't know. Ha! Yao Qin was confused. How can it eat these things? It's an ancient beast. Do you think it's your little white rabbit? Shi Shang couldn't help but interrupt. Does this female lead Darren know what an ancient vicious beast is? Have you ever seen a ferocious beast that is a vegetarian? If a race was born with such attributes, what could it do? The only mistake was that it shouldn't have been born. Since it was born, it had to live. Yao Qin's face turned red. In the plot, Little White often went missing. The female lead never fed it. She guessed that ancient beasts didn't need to eat. Ancient beasts wouldn't die if they didn't eat. However, Little White was a foodie. If it didn't eat, it wouldn't want to move. If it was hungry, something big would happen. Lord Immortal Zhongling? What should she do? Yao Qin didn't know what to do. She had never raised an ancient beast before. How would she know these things? She could only ask Zhongling for help. There were no beasts on the ship. She couldn't give it to the heavenly soldiers to feed it, right? Zhongling had no choice but to order his men to stop the ship and capture the demonic beasts. When Jianmu heard about this, he rushed over angrily. Lu Yun, you can't even take good care of your things. Now you're delaying everyone's schedule. Little White is not mine now. Lu Yun had a melancholic look on his face. Jianmu, the next time you look for trouble, you must get to the bottom of it. Don't let everyone laugh at you. Everyone in the God realm knew that Little White had formed a contract with a little girl of unknown origin. The Immortal Emperor had even asked that little girl to take care of it. Senior Immortal Jianmu, I'm sorry. It's my fault. Yao Qin immediately apologized. I knew something would happen when the two of you came up. Can you see now, Senior Immortal Ling? Jianmu ignored Yao Qin. He was obviously looking for trouble with Lu Yun. Well, he was also attacking Shi Shang. Shi Shang. I'm getting shot even when I'm lying down, so angry. Shi Shang was standing next to Jianmu. Suddenly he lifted his foot and kicked him down the railing. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. He attacked at the slightest disagreement. After being kicked down, Jianmu only reacted after falling for a distance. He quickly stabilized his body and flew back. The anger that he had suppressed previously erupted like a volcano as he directly attacked Shi Shang. Shi Shang stood on the boat, and Jianmu was in the air. Some of his attacks landed on the boat, causing the entire boat to shake. Shi Shang dodged Jianmu's attack, and coldness seeped out from between his brows. You can't beat me. Why are you courting death? Jianmu's response to Shi Shang was an attack. Hey, this brat was just so stupid. Shi Shang took out his iron sword and slashed in Jianmu's direction. His movements were too casual and relaxed, as if he was a layman waving a weapon. It clearly didn't seem to have any strength, but the air was inexplicably tense, making it difficult for people to breathe. The air was split by the sword qi, and a large amount of spiritual qi spread to both sides, forming a substantial airwave. The people on both sides retreated, and some even couldn't help but kneel on the ground. Jianmu regretted it when he felt the terrifying power, but there was no turning back now. Jianmu used all his strength to block Shi Shang's attack. His spiritual qi collided with the sword qi, and there seemed to be beautiful sparks flying in front of his eyes. His internal organs were instantly displaced, and his mouth was filled with the sweet taste of blood. Heaven and earth seemed to stop for a moment. In the next second, all the sounds came. The hull of the boat was affected by the air wave, and it deviated from its original course. Many things on the boat were blown away and broken into pieces. The girl stood in the middle of the storm, motionless. Even her hair didn't flutter. She seemed to be still. The others were thrown around, and they grabbed onto the things on the boat to prevent themselves from falling. The airwave wasn't very powerful, but the wind was especially strong, and it would disturb the spiritual chi in their bodies. They could only rely on their own strength to stabilize their bodies. Jianmu hadn't fallen, but his body was in a mess. His hair was messy, and he looked like a madman. Jianmu gritted his teeth and roared in a hoarse voice, "You're just relying on your sword. Qi Li, do you think your sword is invincible?" Every time she used that sword, it was the power of that sword, it was not her strength at all. Shi Sheng stabbed the iron sword into the ground and raised his chin, looking slightly arrogant. "My sword is naturally invincible. Even if I don't use my sword, you may not be able to defeat me." Shameless boasting. Let's fight if you have the ability. Without his sword, he was confident that he could defeat her. Shi Sheng rolled his eyes. "No." Jianmu pressed. "Why? Are you afraid?" Shi Sheng snorted. "You don't admit that you're stupid. Since I have such a powerful weapon, why would I fight you with my bare hands? You have cat biscuits, but I don't." He wasn't an idealist who pursued his own strength. He didn't care about the method. As long as he was strong enough, it was enough. "Jianmu, are you done?" Zhongling scolded in a deep voice. "Jianmu, do you still remember our purpose this time?" She was the one who first. "Jianmu, have you forgotten what I told you before we came up?" Zhongling interrupted Jianmu. He knew that these two were going to cause trouble, but he didn't expect it to come true so quickly. Jianmu knew that he couldn't beat her, but he still wanted to be beaten. Jianmu also lost his temper. "Supreme Immortal Zhongling, you're biased. She attacked first. Why are you blaming me? If you didn't speak rudely, would Little Phoenix have attacked? Jianmu, really, don't embarrass yourself." Lu Yun condensed a mirror in the air with her spiritual power, and Jianmu's image was reflected in it. "Look at you now. I feel embarrassed for you." Jianmu's face turned green and white. He hated Shi Sheng and Lu Yun so much that his teeth itched. Chapter 1157. Because of the fight between Jianmu and Shi Sheng, the boat was affected and damaged. They could also fly on the clouds, but that was the procedure for patrolling. If they changed the rules rashly, people would notice the loosening of the seal and spread the news, which would cause unpredictable chaos. Therefore, even if the boat was damaged, they could only repair it and continue to travel. Jianmu was locked up in a room by Zhongling. This was a bloody case caused by Little White. The culprit, Little White, did not react at all. After eating and drinking, it disappeared. Apart from this incident, nothing else happened. They arrived at their final destination safely, a somewhat dilapidated city surrounded by a dense forest. This city was surrounded by a dense forest. This was no longer the realm of the gods. It was at the border between the realm of the gods and the human realm. There were all kinds of demons and ghosts. It was commonly known as the No Man's Land. They had to enter the city and enter the place where the demons were sealed through a secret passage in the city. Shi Sheng was speechless. "So why did you set the seal here?" Zhongling explained to Shi Sheng. "There was no city here at first. It only appeared later. If the realm of the gods used force to expel these things, it would raise suspicions. There was a saying that the most dangerous place was the safest place. Therefore, this city was allowed to develop." Zhongling ordered his men to stop the boat at a remote place and instructed the people around him. "After we get down, everyone must hide your identity. The rest of you, return the way you came. Don't let anyone notice that there are fewer people on the boat. Understand?" "Yes, Master Immortal. Zhang Ling ordered his men. Shi Shang and Lu Yun were already standing at the edge of the boat. Zhang Ling was about to call them when Lu Yun suddenly jumped down. Shi Shang stood still. Then Lu Yun returned. Little Phoenix, didn't we agree to jump together? You believed me when I lied to you? Little Phoenix, you're no fun. It's fun to play with you. Zhang Ling. These two people were really carefree. He hurried over. Little Li, Lu Yun, it's dangerous down there. You better not do anything rash. Keep a low profile. Do you understand? Shi Shang did not care. He pointed his chin at Yao Qin. Take care of that one. Everything will be fine. Zhang Ling followed Shi Shang's gaze and said helplessly, Xiao Li, can you stop targeting Yao Qin? No. Shi Shang snorted and said in an unfriendly tone, Our horoscopes are incompatible. She had always been incompatible with the male and female leads. As a stepmother, she had to have the awareness of a stepmother. Shi Shang turned around and leaped. He turned into a black dot in Zhang Ling's eyes and gradually disappeared. Zhang Ling was startled and hurriedly ordered his men to leave. Shi Shang stood in front of the city wall that was covered with strange vines. He tilted his head and looked at it for a while, but he couldn't figure out what the name on the city gate was. Even a dog would be easier to recognize. Which lousy hand would write that? Haven't you heard of the art of decoration? Bad review. She casually grabbed a young man who was passing by and fiercely pointed at the city gate. What do those 3 words read? Who the hell are you? The young man was dissatisfied and wanted to brush his Shi Shang away. Don't you have eyes? Can't you see for yourself? Shi Shang used some strength and flipped him to the ground. The passers-by were used to this and there wasn't even a bystander. Shi Shang lowered his head and looked at the young man who was stunned. If I knew, would I still ask you? A furry tail suddenly appeared behind the young man's buttocks. His skinny and dark face showed a trace of fear and he trembled slightly. Devil Town. The young man wanted to shout back, but he couldn't. Where did this child come from? How could her aura be so terrifying? It was too scary. Shi Shang felt that he might have learned some fake words. The 3 words Devil Town added up to 38 strokes, but it was doubtful that there were more than 10 strokes on the city gate. Shi Shang let go of the young man and patted the wrinkled area that he was grabbing like a boss. He then revealed a sinister smile. Lead the way. The young man felt that the surrounding temperature seemed to have dropped. Miss Gu, is this your first time here? Is it that hard to guess? Shi Shang's voice was very calm, but there was a noble and dignified aura of a superior. It's not hard to guess. Not hard to guess. The young man rolled his eyes and surrendered to Shi Shang's abuse of power. He instantly became a lackey. Miss, can you let me get up first? How can I lead the way when you're like this? The rule of survival in Devil Town was to run if you couldn't win. If you couldn't win, then you had to admit defeat. If you couldn't admit defeat, then you had to wait for death. Shi Shang calmly moved his foot away. The young man got up from the ground and patted the dust off. It seems like you don't know much about Devil Town. Why else would I want you? Shi Shang looked askance at the young man. The young man was embarrassed. He pressed his tail back down. Miss, why do you want to enter Devil Town? I've been here since I was young. I know everything in the town. Shi Shang thought for a moment and asked, Is there a boss here? Miss, which boss are you referring to? Shi Shang raised his eyebrows. How many bosses are there? Devil Town has everything. Naturally, there are different forces. However, there are 3 major factions here. Everyone joins different factions. The bosses of these 3 factions can be considered as the people with authority in Devil Town. The young man explained to Shi Shang. The young man was talking enthusiastically when Zhang Ling chased after them with his men. Xiao Li. They were just 1 step behind. How did she get to talk to people? The young man suddenly saw a large group of people and was a little confused. "Miss, there are so many of you?" The young man couldn't tell what they were, so he addressed them as humans. Shi Shang glanced at them. Lu Yun had disappeared. "Ignore them." Shi Shang turned around expressionlessly. "Continue." Zhang Ling didn't know much about Devil Town. Shi Shang ignored him, so he didn't dare to say anything more. He was afraid that it would arouse suspicion. The things here, how should he put it? He didn't have a good impression of the Protoss. If they knew that they were Protoss, they would definitely gang up and attack them. When the young man saw that Zhang Ling had retreated to the back and didn't say anything, he looked at Shi Shang with an even more strange gaze. This young lady was powerful. That man looked like he was always giving orders, but he actually bowed down to a young lady. This young lady either had a noble status or was especially powerful. Some old monsters like to appear in front of others in the form of children, so they couldn't underestimate children. Who knew if she was an old monster? With this thought in mind, the young man became even more obsequious. The three factions in Devil Town are actually divided into strong and weak factions. Black Boss is the strongest, followed by Scorpion, and finally, Shark Snake. The young man paused and lowered his voice. Actually, Shark Snake's faction is stronger than the other two factions. It's just that they've been keeping a low profile in recent years. Why? A sudden voice interrupted the young man. The young man looked back and his gaze landed on the only girl. Zhang Ling hurriedly stood forward and blocked Yao Qin. He didn't know why this young man was so obsequious to Shi Shang, but he could sense that this young man wasn't weak. Chapter 1158. The young man was a wily old fox. He retracted his gaze and did not answer Yao Qin's question, waiting for Shi Shang to ask. He was the one who made the decision. Yao Qin was just curious, so she asked subconsciously. After asking, she remembered that Zhang Ling had told her not to speak carelessly. Yao Qin looked at the tall figure in front of her, and her heartbeat accelerated slightly. Shi Shang did not even look back. He continued to walk forward. The city gate was right in front of them. The young man immediately said, "Miss, we need to be checked before we enter the city." Shi Shang looked sideways. The young man understood the situation and explained, "It's to prevent any Protoss from sneaking in. Miss, you don't have to worry. Just walk through there." The young man pointed to a special passage under the city gate. The young man's words made the people behind them nervous. They had never entered Devil Town before. Who knew that they would need to be checked? "Miss?" Shi Shang had already started walking in that direction. He walked straight through the passage. The people guarding there did not react. They just watched her and the young man go in. Zhang Ling was speechless. Zhang Ling was not as bold as Shi Shang. He stopped outside. The young man looked back. "Miss, why aren't they coming in?" Shi Shang answered casually, "They must be crazy." The young man was speechless. Were they really in cahoots? Forget it. It was none of his business. As long as this scary girl in front of him did not flip out. Zhang Ling and his men observed outside the city for a long time. The people guarding the city began to suspect them. Only then did Zhang Ling think of a way to sneak into the city. The inside of the city was much more chaotic than what they saw outside. Most of the people in the city appeared in human form, but there were also some weirdos who walked on the streets in their true forms. Yao Qin was shocked when she first saw them. She almost aroused suspicion. Fortunately, they had a large number of people. The people around them only looked at them and did not have any intention of coming forward. They had been outside the city for a few days. He had no idea where Shi Shang had gone or what he had done. Devil Town was so big. It was undoubtedly like looking for a needle in a haystack. "Humph, this is what you get for bringing her here," Dian Mu said sarcastically. Zhang Ling ignored Dian Mu and ordered the others. "Everyone split up and search. Be careful. We will meet at the restaurant in front." Xiao Ling brought Yao Qin to the restaurant first. The atmosphere inside the restaurant was foul. As soon as they entered, the people in the hall looked at them unscrupulously. Unfamiliar face, go and ask him where he's from. One of the people at one of the tables ordered the subordinate standing next to him. The subordinate who was being commanded immediately stepped forward. Hey, you guys, where did you come from? Pulling Ling Jiang and Yao Qin behind him, he retracted his gentle face and brought out the aura of a war god. Black Fog Forest. The little brother's expression changed. He took a few steps back and shouted, "Boss, they're from the Black Fog Forest." The man who was called Boss stood up. He was holding a jar of wine in his hand. Before he even got close, he could smell the stench of blood and blood. From the Black Mist Forest? The boss put the wine jar on the counter with a bang. The shopkeeper behind him was so scared that he shrank to the ground. The boss asked fiercely, "Then you must be capable. What are you doing here?" The Black Fog Forest was full of demonic beasts. It was said that there were even ancient demonic beasts living there. As long as the word ancient was added, it was enough to scare people. "Who do you think you are? What does it have to do with you what I'm doing here?" Jianmu was the first to get angry. He was a venerable immortal. How could he be scared by these demons? The boss glanced at Jianmu. Suddenly, he raised his hand and slapped Jianmu. He said angrily, "Did I ask you a question?" He attacked suddenly. Jianmu, who had been vigilant, grabbed the boss's hand. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. The people who were scattered all around started to surround them. "What? You want to fight? Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Jianmu was a little conceited. In addition to the anger he suffered at the Shishang, he was worried that he couldn't find a place to vent. The boss quickly attacked Jianmu. "Go." Everything happened too quickly. It was too late for Ling Jiang to stop them. Since they couldn't avoid it, they could only fight. The restaurant's hall fell in the blink of an eye. Yao Qin was accidentally attacked by someone. There was a cut on her neck. Blood flowed out, but it wasn't the smell of blood. Instead, it was a fragrance. This fragrance was like a catalyst. The group of people who attacked them suddenly rushed toward Yao Qin as if they had gone crazy. The people who were watching the show outside also seemed to be attracted. They started to rush into the restaurant. Their eyes were full of burning madness. It was as if Yao Qin was some kind of delicious food. They couldn't wait to tear her apart and eat her. Seeing that the situation was not right, Ling Jiang immediately called for the others. Retreat. Ling Jiang and the others were chased all over the city. No matter where they went, there were new creatures joining the chase. It was extremely strange. When they ran into an alley, they were attacked from both sides. There was no way to escape. "What the hell is going on?" Jianmu shouted at Yao Qin in exasperation. Yao Qin didn't know what was going on. She blushed. I don't know." The boss from before ran in front. He stared at Yao Qin with a burning gaze. He licked his dry lips. "Catch her." The underlings beside the boss had just rushed a few steps when a few corpses suddenly fell from the courtyard beside them. Bang! Bang! The corpses fell in front of them, blocking their way. In the next second, more corpses fell. Some of the corpses turned into their original forms when they fell. All kinds of strange animals lay on the ground. Their huge bodies blocked the way. Boom! The wall beside them collapsed, revealing the scene inside. The courtyard was full of corpses. The smell of blood rushed to their noses. There were many people standing in the middle of the courtyard. They were discussing something intensely. In the middle of this group of people, there was a little girl. She looked at the corpses indifferently. "It's Chi. When the boss and the others in the alley saw the person inside, it was as if they had been splashed with a bucket of cold water. Their expressions were ugly. "Let's go." The boss regained his rationality. This little girl had only been in the city for a few days and had already killed the scorpion. Now it seemed that she was dealing with the shark snake. Anyone who went against her would die miserably in the end. "Miss, It's the black boss. When the people inside saw the boss, they immediately shouted. Should we stop them? The black boss. Which bastard had such sharp eyes? Shi Shang raised his head slightly and saw Jiang Ling. His gaze was complicated, as if he was in disbelief. It was just like the first time they met. If the black boss ran now, it would seem a little degrading. Hence, he turned around and pretended to be calm. Miss Chi Li, we don't have to interfere with each other's business. You don't have to kill me, right? This little girl killed people without blinking. He had seen her once a few days ago. She had left a deep impression on him. Shi Shang's eyes curved. His voice was clear. I like to kill people. If I don't kill them, they'll rise again when the spring breeze blows? I'm not a retard like the main character. The black boss knew the rules of the Devil Town better than anyone else. Whoever had the bigger fist had the right to speak. Asterisk hashtag today's mallow-flavored ticket hashtag let's vote on the weekend hashtag there's a new activity in the book review section. If you have nothing to do, you can comment hashtag normal group number 451244066. Chapter 1159. Jiang Ling's expression became even more complicated as he watched Shi Shang take care of the gang leader and the others with violence. Little White jumped out of nowhere and looked at the corpses on the ground. It ate happily. Although this woman was annoying, there was delicious food to eat by following her. It reluctantly forgave her for bullying it. It was a generous beast. Awoo. This doesn't taste good. It has a strong taste. This one is delicious. This one is delicious too. Oh. What is this taste? Little White suddenly stopped eating and rolled on the ground. Then, it rolled straight towards Yao Qin. Miss Chi Li, do you smell something delicious? The young man sniffed the air with an intoxicated look on his face. The people behind him had the same expression. Shi Shang only smelled blood and nothing else. But these little fairies couldn't lie, so Shi Shang looked in Yao Qin's direction. Little White had already jumped onto Yao Qin. For some reason, Yao Qin threw Little White down. Perhaps it was because Little White's table manners were too unsightly, scaring the pure white lotus that had grown out of the mud. Little White couldn't bite its master. It rolled on the ground anxiously. Yao Qin shrank behind Jiang Ling. Little White couldn't jump up. It rolled back to Shi Shang's feet and hit Shi Shang's feet with its body. I want to eat her. 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 Little White kept expressing its desire. The little fairies behind it also expressed their desire. Shi Shang kicked Little White away and threatened, It's none of my business if you want to eat her. Don't show up in front of me again. I'll kill you. Little White rolled on the ground. You can't kill me. I want to eat her. I want to eat her. Shi Shang slashed the iron sword in his hand at Little White. Little White dodged and landed on a corpse in the distance. It jumped twice and reluctantly began to eat the corpse. A woman's heart was like a needle at the bottom of the sea. It was too scary. Woo woo woo, it missed its master. Shi Shang rolled his eyes and ordered the young man, Go and clean up the place. The young man swallowed and bowed to Shi Shang's abuse. He endured his hunger and thirst and went to clean up the courtyard. As soon as the fairies left, Jianmu began to make things difficult for him. Chi Li, you actually colluded with them? Shi Shang laughed sinisterly. That's right. If you yell at I again, I will make you stay here forever. Shi Shang did not intend to occupy the land and become the king. However, there were always people who were blind and wanted to criticize her and do unspeakable things to her. She was still a baby. How could she tolerate such a filthy thing? She had to be killed. Since he had already gotten rid of one and had nothing to do, he might as well get rid of the second one. The third one was delivered to his doorstep. It would be a waste not to get it. I what? Shi Shang sneered and raised his eyebrows. His tone was extremely arrogant. If it weren't for me, you would have been eaten by them. Hurry up and thank them. Jianmu, arrogant and conceited. Even if she didn't come, they would still have a way to escape. Who asked her to meddle in other people's business? Jiangling stopped the furious Jianmu and said softly, Shaoli, don't mess around. We're here to repair the array. That's your business. What does it have to do with me? Shi Sheng paused. I never promised you that I would help. I'm just here to watch the show. Jiangling choked and said in a low voice, Shaoli, didn't we agree before? Shi Sheng snorted. That's just a one-sided agreement. Did I agree to it? Jiangling was rendered speechless. Indeed, she had never personally agreed to help repair the array formation. The little girl stood on the ground one step higher. Her small body was as tall and straight as a mountain. No one dared to look down on her or blaspheme her. The iron sword in her hand shone with a cold light. Her eyes looked even colder. This was the first time Jiangling looked at her eyes so carefully. In the past, every time he met her eyes, he would look away in less than a second. However, all he saw from her eyes was indifference. Boundless indifference. To be more precise, it was indifference. She was indifferent to everyone and everything. She didn't care about anything. From the first time they met, he had noticed it. However, he was unwilling to admit that a newborn child could have such eyes. Shi Sheng turned and left. Jiangling wanted to call out to her, but his voice couldn't rush out of his throat. Seeing that Shi Sheng had left, Xiaobai swallowed the corpse on the ground in a few mouthfuls and rolled over to follow Shi Sheng. At night, Devil Town was even more eerie. The wails of ghosts and howls of wolves were incessant. Shi Sheng was lying in a clean courtyard. Xiaobai was rolling around beside her, his soft voice sounding like he was chanting, So hungry, so hungry, so hungry. Little Phoenix. A black figure jumped in from outside the courtyard. She didn't need to look to know who it was. Xiaobai heard its former master's voice and immediately ran over. Master, master, master. Lu Yun kicked Xiaobai away in disdain and walked out of the shadows. She sat across from Shi Sheng without hesitation. Little Phoenix, you're living such a comfortable life. It hadn't been long since they last met, but she had already become the boss of Devil Town. Why are you looking for me? She didn't visit without a reason. She definitely had something to ask of him. Cough cough. I do have something to ask of you. Lu Yun paused. Little Phoenix won't reject me, right? Shi Sheng glanced at Lu Yun and opened his mouth. I refuse. Hey, don't be like this. Little Phoenix, girls should be soft-hearted. You can't be so heartless. Hee hee. If you want to be soft-hearted, go find the female lead. She was soft-hearted. Her heart was as soft as cotton. You deserve it. I am heartless and unreasonable. If you're unhappy, hold it in. Little Phoenix. Lu Yun held her breath and used her ultimate move. I'm begging you. Shi Sheng looked at Lu Yun strangely. She didn't beg him the last time he wanted her to bleed. This time, she was begging him. Damn it. What is it? Tell me. You agreed? Lu Yun was proud. He knew she was amenable to coaxing but not coercion. No. Who knows what you want me to do? Listen to the matter first before making a decision. This was the normal way of thinking. He couldn't agree just because you begged I. That was retarded behavior. Lu Yun coughed. It's actually a small matter. It's very easy for you. I won't bleed. Lu Yun's mouth twitched. Isn't this over? Why does Little Phoenix still remember? Shi Sheng looked at Xiaobai, who was acting cute at his feet, and silently shed tears of sympathy. No wonder this guy didn't fight with the female lead for Xiaobai in the plot. He didn't care at all. If the pet was gone, he could just change to another one. This awareness is good. I'll give him full marks. I'm not afraid of him being arrogant. Asterisk, this is a fake group. Xiaobai, why do I have such a master? I'm so powerful, but my master wants to change pets. Little fairy, other than eating, how are you powerful? You're a disgrace to the beast race. Xiao Bai, I can even eat dragons. Isn't that powerful? Little fairy, that's still eating. There's nothing to show off. Xiao Bai, it's a blessing to be able to eat. Little fairy, I'm speechless. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.